coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard, coping and seething.
Demonic presence at unsafe levels. Lockdown.
And I want to say this to the
YouTube
audience. I made my mistakes. But in all of my years of
grifting,
I have never profited from
racism.
I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of
racism,
I have never obstructed
spear chuckers.
And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of
racism,
that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not they're
grifter, racist.
Well, I'm not a
spear chucker.
He's a smee. He's a smee. He's a smee. He's a smee. Hey.
And if you have a problem with that, come f me. Physically.
Holy crap! Holy crap!
Victimizers beware! The racist and bigots' greatest nightmares! Social justice warriors! Trigger!
It's the bias response team!
If you've been offended, your feelings must be defended! Go! Freedom of expression is a microaggression! Here comes AmtrakPaulFromSanFran! He's always ready to fight fascism with fascism!
Starbucks windows don't stand a chance.
Ethic enhancer. He's a systematic racism finder. Using the powers of screaming and shame, they win every debate by calling your names. They're heroes who think that they're victims. Social justice warriors. Get triggered.
Morality, and now we're facing media's mortality. They lost the plot, we'll take a stand. These corporations must perish when we claim our land. Enough is enough, we've drawn the line. We'll take back our stories, a spark divine. The will of the fans, a storm on the rise. We won't be silenced by the hollow lies. We claim the legacy, break the chains. These companies must die for our world to remain. They can't take a passion. We're holding the gates for every fan stands protecting the will to create. We are the true keepers, the defenders of lore, and we won't stop until we settle the score.
We're here. We're straight.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, can everybody hear us? I'm still a little worried from last week. And I'm not underwater. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Welcome back.
Surprisingly, Smash JT did not drown you out.
Amazing. No, he didn't, because I'm not on that particular island.
Right.
Anyway, yo, to everybody in the chat, it's WTF Live. You're watching Will of the Fans, and my name is Will. See what I did there? And tonight, well. I don't know how long. Did we even get to talk about Intergalactic last week? I think we did.
I can't recall. So. I've talked about it somewhere, but I don't think it was here.
No, yeah, you're right. The Game Awards was after the last time we were.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot to unpack then because, of course, the trailer came out. All the reactions to it happened over the weekend, the last couple of days, and now the entire story has leaked. Somebody inside Naughty Dog is really pissed off at Neil Cuckman, and they want us to know it. So we'll get to that, unpacking all of that and commenting on it. Of course we will. That's what we're here to do. Also, we'll have a bit of rush news. We'll try and get through it as fast as we can, but there's no real constraints on today. I just want to take the wheels off and have a bit of fun. We've got some stories like the Witcher 4 controversy, the Mass Effect 5 pronoun situation, the Game Awards leaking somebody's phone number in Indonesia for the second year in a row, and the War of the Rohirrim. Well, from the Lord of the Rings to Lesbos of the Cringe, it's feminist propaganda and it's bombing. So, if that sounds like your particular cup of tea, then stay tuned. And of course, before I get into any of that, we are all here. I'm joined as always by my regular colleagues, Mr. Ryan Roger Athe and Mr. Problematic White Guy, aka John. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Will. And can you all hear me? Because my microphone is a bit further away. I sometimes watch the replay, especially when I need to make videos from this show. And I sound a bit too loud sometimes, but it's great to be here. And hopefully we'll have a good talk about several topics of the day. I had a nice day off yesterday.
Oh, that must nice.
So I'm really, really in the mood to speak my mind and to make lots of videos. 5 videos for today, folks.
Bring it on. I'm knackered. I was up all night making videos, and then I made one more today because I was also being the primary caregiver. So I had to do all of that stuff. So I am not fresh from a day off at all. Tomorrow I have to go Christmas shopping and tie a knot around that. I haven't got any more time to do it. So I'll be up all night making more videos tonight instead and fucking my body clock's rhythm, but that'll be the way it will be for you fine people in the chat. John, how you doing, man?
Yeah. Oh, I'm awesome as always. I did have a day off, and I used the downtime at the end of the day to catch Toasty on her maiden voyage with new Blackstreet Boys, and my powers as a tangent king have grown. I derailed their show like from the chat, and it was kind of hilarious because they were talking about the Obsidian link, and I may have said that Obsidian has anal leakage, which took their show in an entire left turn direction, and some interesting stories came up, but that's neither here nor there. But you should go check it out. It was a hilarious debut episode for Toasty to be a part of.
Way to ingratiate yourself as a reality-based representative, John.
Hey, they were trying to take her away. They tried to claim that they had custody, and I said no to that shit. We share custody of Toasty. She's like, like she belongs to all of us. And
they're not taking my blackest regular.
No.
I didn't realize you were a DEI guy there, Ryan.
Yeah,
well, she's like super white, so.
But
and super based, so it plays well. But yeah, no, it's been a good day.
You've reminded me of this. This is old school internet. This is like pre-Facebook internet.
Shit. Shit. Seepage. Oh no.
Just does that for a minute, nearly 2 minutes. That's old internet, Ryan. I don't even know if you were born when that came out. What year were you born?
1999.
Oh, okay. So I think you were probably in nappies when this was
probably a toddler.
Rathergood.com, websites like that, steakandcheese.com. You don't want to look at that one, of course, but some of us remember where we were when these things happened. Anyway, finish your intro, John Boy.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was like I said, it was a easy day off. Just kind of like working on a few little odds and ends around here. I need to flip this video so that it actually is oriented correctly, because I don't know what the reason is. It doesn't matter if I mirror it.
Is that an epilepsy risk? I don't know.
I
Are we
mean,
supposed to give a warning like, oh, some visuals may cause epilepsy? Because you never know.
I mean, now that it's actually working at the right frame rate, it might be. I mean, it used to just be like, like a stutter kind of, clip show of sorts. So I don't know. Well, I don't know. If anybody out there starts stroking out, let us know.
Your profile looks like it's having an epileptic fit.
Well, I mean, that's because he never shuts up, because people that's part of the criticism. So I thought it would be fun to incorporate it in the video reel.
Don't lie, you can't do any better.
At the moment, truly, no, I can't. So
No, it's cool. You'll get there. I'm looking forward to like a fully functioning VTuber version of problematic white guy. One day we can dream, folks. We can dream.
That's right. Or you can send donations. Maybe that's what I should do. Is I should incorporate my PayPal logo in the corner. People could just QR code me.
Just have a render of your character begging, like holding out Ryan's hat.
That would be great.
Donations, please.
Right.
Well, there you go. Anyway, welcome to the chat, and of course to the mods as well. And speaking of begging, if you'd like to join in and have something read out, you can super chat us. If you want to chime in, we'll be glad to address you, whatever you got to say, even if you just want to roast one or all of us. Of course, you can also join the Grift Force for Will of the Fans emojis and a ticket to the monthly members stream, which will be happening between Christmas and New Year. I think maybe the day before New Year's Eve. Yeah, that's the last Monday of the month. So there you go. Something else to look forward to. If you like the emojis, you want some more, kick in a couple of bucks and join today. But before that, we have got a lot of stuff to cover. We'll get to as much of it as we can until it becomes impossible to continue to call it Rush News, at which point I'll have to save other things for Thursday, but we'll get through as much of it as we can. It's Rush News. Yeah, it's Rush News, and our, not top story, but our first story for Rush News. I've been, frankly, kind of ignoring Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim. And for good reason. I've already seen enough damage done to Tolkien over the last few years, and I just kind of couldn't face it. I also didn't know what it was, and then I found out it was actually in cinemas.
Yeah,
and it's not doing very well. No, it's doing appallingly badly. It's actually only made like $3.5 million. I think a bit more than that internationally, but even some of that is from the weekend before.
Right.
So it's not doing well, despite being produced in conjunction with Peter Jackson and a relatively celebrated anime director. I don't know why they're doing a Lord of the Rings anime in the first place. Those two things, they don't belong together for me. They're different interests that I have. I guess it was an interesting idea. Let's do an anime of Lord of the Rings, but well, the result is this.
Yeah.
Did anybody think it wouldn't be?
For a minute, I had hope, but then all hope was abandoned like a few months ago, and I've just been dreading. I call it Roar of the Horhirim myself.
That's a good one. That's nice. I've been calling it Lesbos of the Cringe.
Yeah. I'm going to channel my inner Dragon Slayer and point out that I would rather this be the future of Lord of the Rings than the Rings of Piss. Okay.
Yeah, but it's really like doing just the same exact thing.
Yeah, they found a way to poison multiple wells, not just Lord of the Rings, but also anime, fandom as well. So,
yeah, I mean, they've managed to make a woke anime. Yeah, a new woke Lord of the Rings anime. And this particular flavor of woke is focused on hypothetical LGBT propaganda based on the whole concept of a woman who will not marry a man until she is taken seriously as a warrior or some shit like that. It's predating Eowyn, first of all, by nearly 200 years. And well, let's just read a bit of the article because JDA has gone to this. I really need to upgrade. Lord of the Rings as a property has been a lore disrespected in recent years, blah, 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 with the plotline pushing evil LGBTQ lifestyles in the War of the Rohirrim and shunning traditional marriage. War of the Rohirrim stirred controversy among Lord of the Rings fans when trailers hit. The introduction of Hera Hammerhand, who is Helm Hammerhand's daughter, who is barely mentioned in the original writings. It's all actually here. It's a daughter that Helm Hammerhand refused to offer in marriage to the son of a landowner. Freka was assigned to produce, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, they've decided to make it all about her, whoever she
obviously.
is.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they do, isn't it? And the result is, girl boss, female warrior, rescues men, talks down to men, has no interest in men. At least she looks feminine, I guess.
Yeah, Hera was an empty vessel for the opposition to pour the ideology into her character, and this should be a lesson learned. Although back then, when such stories were written, this wasn't really an issue. But if you've got a character, folks, any character, even a minor character, flesh them out. Otherwise, there'll be an empty glass that anyone can pour their agenda into.
Yeah, it's quite literally a footnote within a story, basically. And they decided, like, one of the biggest lines of horseshit I've heard in this whole thing was that Tolkien wanted other people to, take his work and take it all the way to the touchdown, so to speak, and really just flesh out the stuff. Yeah, because that's totally who J.R.R. Tolkien has been described as throughout history, as a guy who wanted other people to, put their spin on his work.
Absolutely not.
This is the guy who quite literally was pissed off that there was a children's production of Lord of the Rings at a school. So they're way off base on this shit, and nobody is having any of it.
Exceptionally protective of his work. Like, he was the original gatekeeper. He kind of, in many ways, influenced fandom to be the way it is. In as much as, he was angry at the movie version before Jackson came along, and there's no way he would have liked that either. He was, kind of stoic and kind of comeuppantly about it as well. He was aggressively against people diluting his lore. The reason is he set out to create a replacement mythology for the United Kingdom because we'd lost ours as a result of being invaded so many times. Although it did benefit us because we became so bloody strong as a people that we ended up conquering the world for a while. But we lost ourselves, our own heritage and history and mythology because of it. And so he wanted to create a new one. And most people who aren't just writing for fun, but are writing because they have some mission that they see as a worthwhile cause, are not likely to allow other people to come in and change the nature of their writings. It doesn't work that way. And even though they technically used a character from Tolkien lore, just like Ubisoft used an actual person from history in Yasuke just to pour an agenda into it. That's even if Hera had never actually been written by Tolkien, they would have invented someone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They still would have found a way to this in goal.
They wouldn't. It's not like they're actually respecting the law. That's the cop out that they'll tell you. Yep. So they think they can get away with it. But even if they didn't have that to lean on, they still would have done this. 100%.
No doubt about it.
It's so basically there is a very short story that's written. Tolkien says basically it's the history of Helm and how Rohan was flung into a war after he killed Freka with one punch and banished his son Wolf. 4 years past, Wolf amassed an army besieging Rohan, causing Helm to retreat to his keep. He lost both of his sons, driven mad, blah, 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 wreaking havoc on Wolf's armies, and eventually was frozen outside, frozen solid in front of the gates. Then his nephew, you notice how the main characters in all of this are men, by the way?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's almost like warfaring is a man's duty.
Yeah, funny, isn't it? For all of human history and all of human mythology, war was fought by men because, you want to send your best. Anyway, while War of the Rohirrim follows most of these plot points, it keeps the perspective of Hera the whole time, detaching the viewer from the main action and the interesting story Tolkien crafted. While this is at the core of why the film failed to resonate with audiences, it isn't the subversive and evil part of the story. This is, of course, written by JDA, who, along with JFT, are very, very Christian. And now that Goonagate is over, I feel no reason we can't still work together. But you do have to take it with that, pinch of salt. That we're dealing with a very religious perspective here,
and we're dealing with a very religious story that's being bastardized to the hill.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Tolkien himself was extremely religious too. Yeah. But anyway, in War of the Rohirrim, the cause of Wolf's conflict is obsession with marrying Hera. Hollywood writers show the masculine as wanting to hold the woman down and force her into subservience in an attempt to portray the institution of marriage as something bad rather than as God stuff. And, whether you're a Christian or not, we definitely need more support for the institution of marriage in this day and age. That's one of the major things that they took the fuck away from, prominent lines of argument in culture, and as a result weakened society massively.
The idea of constructing a story like a splinter from the main story to be the basis of the antagonist's reason for invasion, reason for trying to take over Rohan, is because he's obsessed with getting pussy. It's just so insane. It's absolutely insane and goes against the nature of what Tolkien created. This is like a splinter, folks. Whereas Rings of Piss was a damn hammer to the lore of the franchise. This is like a splinter.
Yeah, I mean, Rings of Power is worse, but this is still... In some other ways, it's kind of worse too, because it's animated, so it's more likely that younger people will watch it, including potentially children, even if they're not supposed to. And ultimately, they're just going to get these subliminal thoughts pumped into their brains, like, he's a bad man for wanting to marry her, because if he marries her, she'll be his slave or something. Like, excuse you? Fuck you, man. My wife tells me she needs something, I better get to it. Damn quick. Happy wife, happy life, man.
Indeed.
That's the way it works. And I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That's the way it's always worked behind closed doors. And you always say, behind every great man is a great woman. Probably telling him to pick up his laundry.
Most likely.
Happy waifu, happy lifeu, exactly.
Well, we can hear John's wife behind the scenes because she always goes, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Get behind my back.
I'd rather deal with this bird than that one these days, to be quite honest.
That's fair. Anyway, so at the start of the movie, rather than presenting an appropriate request and denial of marriage from Helm, it goes to Hera, who proclaims she does not want to be married to Wolf. This does not make sense in a medieval setting, for one, but it gets worse from there as she proclaims she wants to marry no man. Now, at first glance, that's obviously a reference to "I Am No Man" from Eowyn. But of course, it's also got two other, irritating foibles that can be interpreted from this. One, that marriage is bad and feminism requires her to be unwed so that she can act like a male warrior. Or two, that she a full-blown dyke. And is presenting I love the way they write, JDA and John F. Trent. It's like presenting a disordered LGBTQ lifestyle as something heroic. They're right. It's just that they're so much more... They're so much more aggressive in their descriptions of it. I'll say it's deranged. I'll say it's insane. But they use terms like disordered that sound much more serious.
Exactly, because it is a serious topic that's not really talked about anymore. And I know JDA wrote this because it doesn't say John F. Trent, because those two are working together over at the Fandom Pulse. They're doing a fantastic job. And I think going forward, it will be one of the leading sites that will push to make pop culture great again. One topic and one article at a time.
Indeed.
Yep.
Evidently,
It
Hera
goes on
wants
from
to
there.
drink fully from the cup of
From
femininity.
the furry chalice.
Yes, exactly.
Indeed. The marriage obsession drives Wolf while the men make stupid decisions throughout the film and attack on masculinity and the institution of marriage very intentionally. It's implied heavily throughout that women are required to be the leaders, and without them in such positions, the entire Rohan society falls apart. Hera is then kidnapped by Wolf and rescued by a strong female shield maiden, too. The maiden goes toe-to-toe in combat with Wolf and his forces. So she kicks a load of men's asses and rescues Hera single-handedly. No men are required.
No wonder this project failed.
Hey guys, Lord of the Rings has got its very own Rey Palpatine. Yay!
I hate
hate
the parallels are a bit on the nose.
They are, aren't they? Absolutely. Absolutely right. The only thing that Star Wars is lacking is a woman for her to fall in love with.
So far.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, we haven't quite got there yet, I suppose. Later, when Helm dies, his one regret is that he didn't listen to his daughter Hera. This is 100% Kennedy brand girl bossing, by the way. This is a Mary Sue. Every guy worships her. Every guy thinks she's the best. Everything she does is perfect and pristine, and there can be no fault in her whatsoever. He affirms, despite her having done no deeds to deserve it, that she should be the one to lead her people, calling her both cunning and strong to unsubtly reiterate the point of the strong female lead, thus taking it away. Cunning.
Did you cunting?
Cunning, I said. Didn't I?
Maybe it was just me.
Don't
I just
kiss your owl, John. Carry on, Will.
Maybe it's just my Luton accent. I don't know. However, the institution of marriage is struck again as the film progresses during the final siege of the keep, rewritten as Wolf not being present but in battle with Freylaf in the original Lord of the Rings lore. Hera puts on a wedding dress to confront Wolf. While it's yet another cringy moment in which she goes to toe with a warrior man, fighting and having no problem being stronger than him in combat, the most subversive element is again an attack on the sacrament of marriage. So she kills him with the help of the other woman while wearing a wedding dress.
Good God. I just want to know how it was that they let Wormtongue into the writer's room to make
I know, right?
Fuck is this?
And there's supposed to be this moment because Eowyn ends up leading the Rohan, I think, after Theoden. I think that's how it goes anyway, or Éomer and Eowyn do it together or something. But she ends up subverting all expectations of women in particular roles in that society at the time, and it's perceived that it's never happened before. There's no cultural history of it, no precedent of it, of a woman fighting and overpowering a man, and yet now we're told just 100 and something years ago it all happened. This woman,
a white woman in a white dress defeats a pseudo brown guy wearing brown skin.
Stunning and Are you talking that whole time? Because I didn't hear a word of it.
That's all right. I was just saying. It was probably a good thing. Yeah, because I was just saying that it's interesting that she has a subtle belt that is very phallic and just drapes all the way down to her fucking ankles.
Yes, absolutely right. Anyway, so there you go. It's stunning. It's brave. It's a bunch of old wank. It's a Mary Sue. It's happening again, and I think it's fucked up that they've done this yet again to Tolkien. Like, he is turning in his grave with the power of 1,000 burning suns. Like, he could swallow the universe. We could create a black hole at this point with the amount of rotations happening per millisecond in Tolkien's tomb. But there you go. It's another dark day for Tolkien, another dark day for Lord of the Rings. But we'll continue to gatekeep. Never watch it. Don't watch Rings of Power either. Just stick to the books and, of course, the one Jackson trilogy. Unless you really, really must watch the Hobbit movies as well. I mean, I watched the Star Wars prequel, so I guess I can allow it. But there you go. And just a quick reminder here that if you are enjoying this show, then
Like the stream.
thank you, Hypnotic. So there you go. Anyway, we'll move on, and we can have a bit of a laugh here because the Game Awards has embarrassed itself again. I know I didn't mention this before we went live, but I added it at the last minute because it's so fucking stupid. The Game Awards is a truly incompetent organization. Everybody knows this. Absolutely knows this. And, you know, one of the things that is so bad about it is the fact that they can't even protect people's information, apparently. As it turns out that their Fortnite Island code that they put on the screen is actually an Indonesian man's phone number. And this is not the first time this has happened. This is, in fact, the second consecutive year that the Game Awards has accidentally shared a random Indonesian phone number.
Gracious me.
2 years on the trot, they've managed to cause someone to receive hundreds of phone calls and text messages looking for Fortnite freebies. As part of this year's stream, a Fortnite Island code is shown, and there's the number. You can. It's been covered up, fortunately, although they have actually put it again down below and not covered it up. So I'll try and avoid displaying that. Apparently, Fandom Pulse is just as guilty now as the Game Awards.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is Indonesia, the world's. Ironically, it's the world. It has the world's biggest Muslim population. But when people find out about that, they're very surprised because you'd think it would be a Middle Eastern country, but it's actually Indonesia.
Yeah. No. So actually, it's only one country code away from me. Actually, in the Philippines, it's plus 63. Whereas they are plus 62. But if you are in Indonesia or you know this, then you, I don't know why it matters, then it's 08 is the official start of every mobile number. I think in the UK it's 07, right? Yeah.
Maybe,
whereas in the Philippines,
they'll do
it's
it again
09.
next year, and they'll like they're going for the dynasty. You know, you can like really like establish themselves as the purveyors of harassing Indonesian people.
Yes, exactly. There you go. I'm just answering something in the chat. Anyway, so Indonesians quickly thought of the code being too similar to an Indonesian phone number. In Indonesia, mobile phone numbers begin with 08, then 2 additional digits identifying the carrier and the area, same as anywhere else. The 0853 area code is owned by Telkomsel, a joint venture between state-owned Telkom Indonesia, Indonesia's largest telecommunications character, and Singtel, its Singaporean counterpart, serving as the former's consumer arm. And they went to get contact and found out that it's the phone number of a real Indonesian. And then trolls spammed his WhatsApp calls to the point that the phone number's owner clarified on Facebook, I am the owner of that number. Please do not contact that number because my number is not Fortnite Game Awards code. Thank you.
And his name too. I know. Even his name looks funny. Bang Bujud.
Bang Bud or something like that. Yeah. I know. This is one of those things.
I don't have your goddamn Fortnite skins. Leave me alone.
Did this guy piss off Jeff Keighley or something? What the fuck?
I don't know. It's really bizarre because I got really confused when I made a video about this because I tend to go in semi-blind when I make videos reading articles because I want to give my audience my earnest reaction. And I got thoroughly confused by the way they've written this too, because it kind of implies at one point that it's the same number 2 years in a row. But then at the end, it says that it's not. So it's two completely different people that they've done this to, both in Indonesia and year on year. So it's getting to the point now when the Game Awards come, everyone in Indonesia, just turn your phone off.
Yeah,
that's right.
My goodness. Has Jeff Keighley ever gone to Indonesia?
I don't know.
It's good to see he's prejudicial against a country that has like 50 different fucking languages. Oh God.
There you go. Right. And just before we go any further, Dramatic Law wanted to ask me something and asked for me to get to it immediately. So I will, just to make an exception there. $7.99 Australian, and thank you very much, says, what do you think of the new Superman poster and music? I love the humming of the John Williams score. I have hope for it. Fingers crossed. I haven't heard the music. I didn't know that they were doing that, but I've seen a poster. Is it the one where he's like flying upwards?
Yeah, it's all blurry and like with a Gaussian blur in the background of like his chest, I guess. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm reserving judgment, but not in a positive way.
I mean, I've got it. Hang on a second here. I've got it. I've got it on Instagram. Just give me a second here. And
I know Kata was excited to see it. But
Nathan Fillion's hyped for it, and Nathan Fillion is kind of a geek's geek. So,
okay.
So you know, I'm a big Superman fan. Superman, I think I've said it before on the stream. Superman is one of the reasons why my life is the way it is. I, learned to play the Superman theme on a keyboard because I loved Superman that much when I was 4 years old. And then that ended up with me learning to play the piano, which is what brought me to the Philippines to be married and have my kid and potentially another one on the way. I haven't formally announced that yet, though. So there you go. So Superman means a lot to me, and I'm very aware of that. And that's why I haven't really covered this very much. I took the piss out of the guy's name. Corn Sweat. I said it sounded like Bunyan Damp or like Blister Moist or something like that because Corn Sweat. But anyway, I'm just a prick. That's why. I haven't seen anything yet. The first poster where he's just putting on his boots kind of got humiliated by another guy with his phone or something, making it himself. And now I kind of feel like if I was looking at a Superman poster 20 years ago and it looked like this, I would have been blindly hyped for it. It's only because of what's happened in between that I am reserving any judgment whatsoever. I guess cautiously optimistic is what I will say, because James Gunn, I don't think James Gunn has actually ever let me down. Can you think of anything James Gunn has done that was really that bad?
Not off the top of my head. I mean,
since he's been involved in comic book movies anyway, because I liked all the Guardians movies. I liked the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's doing Superman, could be good. It could be. I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd scream it from the rooftops.
It's a basic poster with a good series of special effects with riveting music. Superman back to basics, a solid foundation. That's the safe bet, and that can prevail. And go from there.
See, the music's on here. Hang on. Let me refresh and I'll...
Is it the wisest course of action to play music in this day and age?
Fuck it. Okay.
I don't trust it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that could very easily sway me to be on board for this. I think everybody knows the Christopher Reeve movies are the reason. Well, like I said, all that stuff about Superman. I was talking pretty much specifically about the Christopher Reeve, the first and the second, Christopher Reeve movies. So yeah, that's not what I thought when he said humming the score. That is he's leaving home and going to the Fortress of Solitude for the first time music, like That's an interesting one to choose, and I'm kind of here for it. Shit. All right.
I was half expecting to hear the Jurassic Park theme song when that was
What a
starting
melodica.
out. Yeah.
That's fucking so funny. Anyway, so yeah, I suppose my answer then is you kind of interested in this. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. Yeah. Shit. That's nice. It's nice to have a white pill moment for a change. Dramatic Allure, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Appreciate you very much. Thanks.
The music is only one aspect of a production. Like, I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan, like huge. And like this Intergalactic Heretic Prophecy bullshit is scored.
Trent Reznor's score.
Yeah, and so like, there's a part of me that's kind of like, oh, well, I do like Trent Reznor. Maybe I'll get the soundtrack, but I don't even know about that, to be quite honest, because. It's like he's got like 5 kids now and a wife and like all this stuff. So it's kind of, I'm like, well, he's just taking the bag. Like if someone offered him a big chunk of money, he's, yeah, you know, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to enjoy the game just because someone that I appreciate is affiliated with it, you know? So,
I mean, I Nine Inch Nails were all right. I wasn't a lover or a hater. They existed in my periphery, I suppose. Reznor was all right. He's just synth guy, I guess. I wasn't moved at all by the soundtrack to Intergalactic. I thought it was boring and derivative, like extremely like, oh, it's spacey wacy music, you know. You sat with a keyboard and one finger and you could write that. So I wasn't impressed. But then I am a classical pianist, so I am a snob, so I have to admit that. Anyway. Cool. We'll get back to the Game Awards then. So the Game Awards Relentless Assault. Oh no, I've put it on screen myself now. Shit.
Where is it? God. See, it's always when I'm writing something down that sensitive information gets showcased.
No, it's the phone number of the guy. I was trying to just flash it on screen for a second. So
Can I have a number 4, a number 7, and a number 10, please?
Yeah, there you go. That's not the same as China. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Reactions came in
Asian joke. Damn.
Yeah, but you're one of those retards who acts like all Asian people are exactly the same when there's about 40 different subcultures within them.
Right.
Which just makes you seem more legit racist than anything else. Anyway, Slepspian Commando for $2 dues, and thank you for that. Yeah. Says, oh, I knew you were all thinking about me. Well, right now we're actually talking about Indonesia, but we will get to you very, very soon, Slepspian Commando, with your fucking backward ass use of hair clippers. What the hell's wrong? Anyway, there we go. Technically, I'm Asian. Well, I mean, at this point, I've been in the Philippines for 7 years, so technically, so am I. I honestly can't remember what it's like to live in England anymore. I'm kind of glad. Reactions came in to the Indonesian hate crime of sharing somebody's number on the Game Awards on both X and Facebook, the latter where most Indonesians fill their social media times on. And there's your opportunity to edit 2 bits together, Ryan. Over on X, people noted how the Game Awards infringed on someone else's privacy multiple times. Quote, this isn't the first time, and repeating such mistakes is indefensible. The Game Awards team needs to take responsibility and implement stricter checks to prevent this from happening again. People's safety and privacy aren't a joke. So people are reacting very seriously to this.
Yes.
I mean, okay, right. On the one hand, it's a bit funny. Right, it's inappropriate and a bit funny. On the other hand, yeah, you are kind of doxing someone, except that it's not someone who's actually, a public figure, presumably. So, yeah, and not someone hopefully not a YouTuber who doesn't want their number to get out, because obviously
imagine if they did it
in private life.
Just imagine if they did it as a bit, though. Will just find a random phone number and then showcase it and then tell everyone watching to ring this number and to be nice to the person they're ringing, because you never know, a strong dose of of healthy support could take people away from the brink. It could be something that could be turned into something positive. But for this to happen not once, not twice.
It would be funny if somebody called him and he ended up falling in love with them and marrying them or something like that. But can somebody just clarify? Because I didn't watch this part of the Game Awards, or if I was watching, I was watching Hypnotic and Smash JT and Stuttering Craig streaming together. So I wasn't paying attention. Was this a phone number you're supposed to call? Because it sounds like it's just a code that you put in.
I thought it was supposed to be a download code within the Fortnite thing myself.
That's what I was thinking. Like you put it into Epic or something, and I don't know.
People are like strange here. Like back in the 80s, you know, there's the song Jenny, you know, 8675309, and that was legitimately somebody's phone number at the time as well. And they ended up obviously changing their phone number because people wouldn't stop calling them, you know.
It's madness, isn't it?
Is Jenny there?
Somebody else put, seriously, how does this keep happening? It's the fact that it's the second time in 2 years that they've done this to somebody.
Just don't give your phone out to someone if you're at the Game Awards, okay? Because you never know. Next year, it might happen to you. We might get to see Alyssa Mercante's fucking phone number in the Game Awards 2025.
There's not enough that I understand about this, because I want to know, like, did the Game Awards pick the number? Or isn't a code like that? I mean, it must be usable by a massive amount of people, right? It's not just a one shot, you first in, you know, caller number 150 gets the $1 million kind of thing. It's got to be like a thing that multiple people can use. But why are they calling that number instead of trying to put it into the Epic Games storefront? I don't understand. I haven't played enough Fortnite or watched enough Game Awards to understand what's going on. So I'm just baffled by this. And this question is literally what is precedent first and foremost in my mind. How did this happen? I don't understand. Does anyone have any light they can shed on this?
It is mind-boggling. Like, I can only imagine that people took the number and typed it into their computer or their phone, and like they did it in maybe a search engine, and it just popped up. Like,
they use this thing called Get Contact. So the people just decided, oh, that looks like a phone number. I wonder if it is someone's phone number.
Right.
I mean, the trolls are technically as much to blame as the Game Awards, but also you deal in the game industry.
And this man wants to copyright the term Game Awards.
Yeah, this guy. He wants no one else to be able to use his brand, but he's quite happy to give out someone's personal phone number. It says that's definitely concerning if personal information was exposed. It's important for events like the Game Awards to prioritize privacy and ensure mistakes like this don't happen. A quote post said, "It happened last year, it happened again this year, and they didn't even bother to change that code, not one number." So was it the same code 2 years running? That's
Possibly.
what I don't understand.
Which means that the first person this happened to was like, fuck this noise, change their number, and then somebody else just like, you know, got to inherit the honor of being bothered.
This poor motherfucker, Bang Beard, says 500 people have called me so far looking for the Fortnite code. I'm sorry, sir, but this is fucking hilarious. I do feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, it just is. It's just absolutely ludicrous. As a user, as an ex-user said, at this point, it will be an annual spam for him. LMAO. So apparently they're using the same fucking code every year. Done it twice. I'm completely confused. I don't understand. So there you go. Game Awards. As if you couldn't look stupid enough with all the sycophantic shit that goes on, all the creepy advertising that's got in that cringe as fuck Muppet stuff with Statler and Waldorf basically saying what we say about the Game Awards, but you know, likening us to two hecklers from a fucking 50-year-old TV show. It's you know, cringe. But there you go. Game Awards just ends up looking even more ridiculous than they already did. Before moving on, Marilyn Transon, that's the best one. That's a great name for the Alyssa Mercante lawyer. The other one I heard was Edward Scissortrans.
Yep.
But Marilyn Transon takes the cake. That's a great one. And apparently they are here. Miss Liss's lawyer is here to say free Ryan beard clipping with a like and subscribe.
Never gonna happen, you fucking demon. Also, I've been trying to find out who this creature is and the picture as well for thumbnails. I had a great thumbnail between Smash, his lovely wife, the Mercante creature, and we had Ron Coleman, and I wanted that demon's face as well, but I couldn't find it.
It's on the bottom of the document. If you've got a copy of the actual legal complaint, the lawsuit complaint, then it's written at the bottom. I can't think what it is anymore now either, because that name
J. Remy something.
That's it. Yeah. Alyssa Mercante, J. Remy. Makes me wonder if it was originally Jeremy.
Yeah.
J. Remy. Fuck. What is it? I can't think. Whatever. Green. J. Remy Green.
Okay.
There you go. That's the name.
Thank you.
But hereafter referred to and forever and ever after as Marilyn Transon, because that is just too fucking good. That was so fast as well that came out. Very well done. Very clever indeed. And there you go. You will never beat the internet. Do not try. You will only end up making yourself look stupider and stupider. And that's all I got to say about that. All right, then. Let's move on to The Witcher 4, which has had no small amount of controversy recently. A trailer came out, and we're now having to deal with Ciri, the adoptive daughter figure of Geralt, from the lore, the books, the games, now herself somehow being a Witcher. Now, there are a number of reasons that this doesn't make sense. Should we run over them?
To get people up to speed, I suppose we probably should for accuracy. But man, does she she could be more jawed up, but she got hit with the ugly stick at some point in time in the last few years.
I'd say brushed with an ugly twig. Yeah. Not you know what I mean? She's clearly still very much a female, but the softer features that Ciri has always had in the games anyway, gone, totally gone, replaced by this sort of meaty orc female chin,
Yeah.
But what I will say is, she doesn't have to be stunningly beautiful. She is. Somebody will find that attractive, I'm sure. That's not the issue I've got. What I've got as an issue is the lore, because Ciri is not. I don't know the lore altogether that well. I've not read the books. Just full disclosure, I'm not one of these people who's going to read Wikipedia and try and convince you that I've read all of Sapkowski's books. But I do know enough to know that she is A, more powerful than a Witcher, and B, women cannot survive the process of becoming Witchers. They literally lack the constitution. And so she can't weave signs. She can't drink the potions. So how can she be a Witcher?
It's also very strange because the art of being a Witcher is dying out in that universe. So much so that the world is moving forward. You've got the age of empires throughout the continent. And so becoming a Witcher is a very difficult process ordinarily, but the fact that they're dying out as a class, as a group, just adds more to the narrative that she can't be a Witcher, even if she were a man, like a real man, not a demon. And
right.
Speaking of demons, you take on plenty in this universe. But when you look at this, it's just a way of trying to square a circle. You've got CD Projekt Red smashing the lore, written by a very, very stellar guy, very stoic too, who, likewise with Tolkien, hates any and quite possibly every adaptation of his work.
Yeah, I think they're trying to go with the line that because she's got elven blood, that she's somehow strong enough to live. But
she's in fact stronger.
Right.
Well, she held her own against the Wild Hunt commanders who were first of all hunting her, and then when push came to shove in the final battle, where you play as her temporarily, she more than held her own.
Times.
Yeah,
in
you hold
Witcher
her
3.
own.
Yeah,
I don't
against this beast in black.
Yeah, I don't remember that scar being on her face before. Are they doing that just to, like, take one more thing away
That's
from
been
the
there.
All right. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
So my understanding is Ciri is she's like half elf or something, and she's thus more powerful, but like most magical maidens in fantasy fare. Sorry for alliteration. She's kind of a glass cannon. She can deal it, but she can't take it. She can dish it out, but she can't take it back. So like even when you're playing as her, she went down a lot faster than Geralt if you got hit. And that's how it pretty much has always been. I mean, the law within The Witcher is women cannot be witches. They have a 100% mortality rate for attempting the conversion. So because you have to take in the mutagens and the potions and all that stuff to effectively become a witcher. And apparently I've just committed a hate crime for Hasbro by using the term half elf. Well, fuck you. Half elf, quarter elf, 1/8 elf.
Witches are hardly stellar people. I mean, you look at the order, the different orders. There's a reason their caste is dying out, because the only way they could really source recruits was stealing children. They're glorified mercenaries at this point. It's just
they have an enormous stigma around them. That's part of the law. That's part of the game. You get treated like shit by almost everybody around you. That's where the song "Toss a Coin to Your Witcher" comes from, because he needed some better PR.
Maybe evidently the mutagens, because they're supposed to obviously change your internal organs and like kind of the way that your body functions, but evidently they change your bone structure too.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a punch from a fucking massive monster and actually tank it. Ciri can't. Yennefer can't.
She still has a button nose though, so I mean, I guess that's one thing that didn't really get augmented too much, but actually it looks a lot like mine, which yay. I suppose if I wanted to cosplay as
so you started off like advocating that she has a feminine nose, but then said you have the same one.
Well, I mean, like, so I'm just saying,
you just destroyed yourself.
I'm just saying, like, my nose is my nose. That's all I can say. I got a button nose. What can I say?
I got a broken nose. But there you go. That's what happens when druggies punch you in the face because you're a better DJ than them in the Philippines. Well, with a huge fucking ring on, and then run out the door as your vision clears because they know you're going to fucking murder them. But there you go. Anyway,
I do have my full-on winter beard has grown in though since I've been last on video, so I've got that going for me.
Maybe it's just that your chin's so damn giga chad that your nose looks small by comparison.
That could be it.
Could be it. Anyway, all the law breaking aside, which I think is pretty damn unforgivable, because one of the reasons that The Witcher is so popular as a game series is the strict adherence to the law. Okay, there are a couple of things changed here and there, but they're mostly superficial things. And at the end of the day, people really, really appreciate the deep dive, the incredible amount of lore dumping that goes on in that game. And of course, Witcher 2, Witcher 1. But so for them to now just spit on that exact lore, and it's not been that long either. So that, like, how many of the people who made The Witcher 3 are still at CD Projekt Red?
But it's been a while. I mean, Witcher 3 was made in 2015. It's a solid.
It came out in 2015.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But that's a solid 9 years. And as we know with GTA 5, which was made or released rather in 2013, and we see GTA 6 on the horizon, a lot of people have come and gone in that period of time, and I'm sure the same is true for CD Projekt Red. Over the past, nearly 10 years. I don't know when Witcher 4 is going to come out. I doubt it will come out in 2025, maybe 2026, because no game is going to stand against GTA 6 and come out of it on top, in my view.
Not in the first week, anyway.
No.
I was first put on alert by Witcher, just in general because of CD Projekt Red. But then I think it was about 2-3 months ago, they put out a call to do a focus group testing in Boston, and they wanted to curate the audience that was going to do the focus testing. So they were specifically looking for the modern audience in Boston to give them feedback, which at that point in time, you're not really getting feedback if you're going for a specific segment of, your customer base, quote unquote, to give you, any notes on, because then you're just trying to reaffirm, there's that word, your decisions,
Yeah, probably. But anyway, so all of that really quite egregious law breaking aside, there was a recent statement made by one of the EPs at CD Projekt Red, who's outright stated now that the game is designed for new players, which those of you in the know will be able to immediately reinterpret as modern audiences and people who do not play our games. Yay, guys, I've got an idea. Let's create a new sport. It's going to be really popular with people who like sport, but we're not going to market it to them. We're going to market it to people who never watch sport.
Right. And we're going to do it with something that's well established because we're so smart.
Yeah.
Let's start a new channel, folks, aimed at new viewers who do not watch our previous content and see how well that does for us.
Yeah. Let's make a second channel each where we argue the exact opposite points of everything we say on our main channels and see how that works out.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
Maybe I'll make a jawed up VTuber chick, and
I'll dye my hair, I'll dye my beard, I'll have food under the table, and I'll argue for gayness and transing children, and I'll have multicolored backgrounds.
You get yourself a trans flag hat. That would be great.
Oh wait, John, that's air prick.
Yeah, that is literally air prick debunks. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Anyway, Malgorzata Mitrega. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly.
Dax says it best. I could be agreeable black lady.
Some Slavic name. The executive
the exact opposite of Ryan. Agreeable black lady.
I think he was talking to me, but
I could be I could be
That's
an agreeable.
The opposite of you. Yeah.
I could
the opposite of John, of course. Yeah.
I could be an agreeable black man called Khalif Sugar Bear Adams.
You could just be Rhodesian Roger Athe. Or what was the other one from the other stream? Zion Roger Oive.
Oh my god!
Yes, that was.
Someone asked me the other day what I thought of.
You get monetized for 3 days.
Ryan Raja Ate.
Look, someone asked me the other day what I thought of Ron Coleman being Smash JT's lawyer, and I said, I will refrain from answering that question.
Evidently, I butchered the name quite epically. Appreciate it. I wonder what other stupid alternative. What's the exact opposite of me then? I have no idea.
Woe off da haters.
Woe of the haters.
Or like condemnation of the corporates.
Chill of the corporations. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Anyway, in an interview with IGN, this person discussing The Witcher 4 releasing it, blah, 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 said, we want to aim for new players. She elaborated the wider audience and also the people who know the franchise, but maybe don't play our games. So who are they? The 10 people that watch the Netflix show? If you haven't played the games, there's an even less likely chance that you've actually read the books.
Exactly. Which is
outside of Poland.
Which is why a far better strategy for CD Projekt Red to take would be a remake of the original Witcher.
So
yeah, that would. The original Witcher is not bad.
Audience of the Netflix series to come and be their new audience. That's
astonishing, isn't it?
Retarded.
Especially it's the same thing as War of the Rohirrim, where it's like, okay, we've watched someone absolutely butcher the lore of this to push their woke agenda, and we've watched it backfire massively. But I reckon I can do it.
Right.
With all the same strategies. Exactly the same in a different medium. Fuck me.
Christ.
Absolutely.
Hey, Wile E. Coyote, can you, write this out for me with, like, all your success and, like, your Acme plans? Like, this is just...
The definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So that's basically what's happened here. We've had a Witcher show that pushed girl bossing and ignored Geralt as the main character of The Witcher. Then the guys making the games, because we would say like, oh man, the show sucks, but at least the game is good. The game is lore accurate and blah 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 blah. So then the guys who make the game say, hold my fucking
flagon.
banana daiquiri. I'm gonna go fucking drop trow and squirt out some rainbow diarrhea all over this fucking franchise because it worked so well for Netflix. You muppets.
And this is also another great example, folks, of no matter where you are in the world, no matter what culture you subscribe to, the woke mind virus will penetrate your society and corrupt you to the core. This is a Polish studio, Eastern European, with far more stringent values and customs than that of the Western world, especially among Slavic peoples in the Second World. If it can infect them, it can infect everyone. And I dare say the opposition we face is capable of infecting all sorts of different people. You have to be extremely strong-willed to resist this airborne pathogen ring of power, which is effectively what it is, unfortunately. If it can corrupt Poles, it can corrupt anyone.
I mean, I hate to agree with you there, Ryan, because you're profiling massively, but you're pretty right. Yeah. In my opinion. Sebastian Kalemba, I guess I butchered that too, although it was way easier than the last one. Says, where did he go? He explained, we want to let players try to define her when talking about Ciri. He said, she's about to form her own codex on her own terms. Yeah. She don't need no Witcher.
Snap, snap. Indeed.
The way she actually deals with Queen. Yeah, the way she actually deals with monsters, the way she deals with quest adventures, it's her own unique way. So they're basically saying here that they want you to have more choices in how you play.
Jesus. Have they ever seen a woman try to get dinner? Having more choices have a game called
Gum. Yeah, I know. Yeah, women can't make decisions. I know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, this is not a wise decision.
Any woman who's honest with herself will admit women cannot make decisions. My wife, I've told the story before. My wife literally took a guy who was, a bit lib, but also quite conservative, and wanted to share the decision-making process, and told me to man up and make the bloody decisions. And it worked. I did, and now I'm married. And it's why I still stand by the adage that I got from, I don't know, it was an FHM or something. Somebody sarcastically wrote into a magazine one month and said, women want a random decision-making machine that they can blame for negative outcomes. Yep. And that is what we call a man.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's fine. And in exchange, I get all the things that we want. So there you go.
We've been swapped out for a magic 8-ball and a dildo.
Yeah. So there's another element to this. We are running over a little bit, but it's fine. I'm having fun. That's fine. I don't give a shit. The idea that you're giving people more choice, like you can play the game however you want. It's like, okay, well, then I'll just play Skyrim.
Right.
Because I can make my own fucking character on that. I
Well,
can be a magician, I can be a mage, I can be a warrior, I can be a rogue, I can be anything.
Exactly. The setup they're going for would work far better if you could create your own Witcher, which was one of the main barriers for me personally getting into The Witcher 3, because I was, a first-time player of the franchise. I didn't know much about No. Oh, okay. I didn't know much about Geralt. I didn't know much about Yennefer or Cirilla or any of the other characters. So that was a big barrier of entry for me. In fact, a great way to bring new people into a franchise is a create your own Witcher to help Geralt, to help Ciri, to help other characters, especially Dandelion, because that fucker always gets into trouble. And have it like that, a new Witcher who goes through the trial of grasses and lives, whether it's a man, once in a blue moon with a female, maybe, that sort of dichotomy, not trying to square a circle, which is what this project is trying to do. If you want choices, consequences, style gameplay, you should create your own character.
Yeah, that's what you should be, instead of forcing you to play as Ciri. But then that wouldn't be ticking enough feminism boxes, would it? So there you go. Witcher 4, fucked as we thought. Now let's do some super chats, because we've got a few more that came in during all of that. First of all, Chaos Forever for $5. Thank you very much. Says, hey, hail chat. Ryan, I saw Marilyn Transon got the hots for you. Gasping face.
Thank you for your donation.
Yeah, thanks. And then James Up, Gaminggate2.org, go support it. Says, looks like a 45-year-old pudgy soccer mom. Are we talking about Ciri here? I think so.
Yeah.
10 minutes ago. None structures different. Adults can't do the trial. Women can't do the trial. 40 years of law pissed away. Right. Absolutely right. That is the appropriate response. 100% agree. Completely. He then goes on for another 2. He says, Witcher first story was 1986. First novel was 1994. Oh, right. Okay.
Now, that's very interesting, especially considering the fact that the Iron Curtain didn't come down until 1989. So if that great stoic guy was writing these stories during the late Cold War, how the hell didn't he get arrested? Because they don't promote that sort of stuff in the communist world.
That's true. I didn't know this, but yeah, Sapkowski entered into a competition with a titular 1986 short story, The Witcher. There you go. Learn something new every day. Thank you very much, James Opp, for your continued allegiance. Chaos Forever for yet another 2. It says, for the lube when you guys sleep with Alyssa M.
Thank you for your donation.
I'm married, there's that. And secondly, I mean, I can throw a coin down a street in this city and find a prettier woman than Alyssa McCante, and she will say yes.
I would rather self-unicize myself.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't fuck Alyssa McCante with your dick, Chaos Forever. So, but thanks for the donation. Appreciate it. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. That's all for the time being. Thank you very much, folks. I appreciate you all. It's always appreciated when I can go out and buy nappies for Princess of the Fans with the money that you guys are so kind by gifting to the channel. And I do that. So we're going to move on to Ryan's favorite subject. Although, I don't know, which one do you prefer and thus loathe to talk about more, Mass Effect or Dragon Age?
That's a tough choice. Well, while we're on it, we might as well cover this rumor.
Yeah, this is actually quite. Just before we do it, James Opp for 2 more says you could toss a coin and find a prettier man. That's well, they're not the most what I would call conventionally handsome men, but
wait, it's not a crime there?
What? Being gay,
ladyboys?
No, it's I mean, I don't know what prostitution is a crime, absolutely, but it goes on constantly.
Okay. Oh, right.
Everywhere.
It's that sort of crime where it's happens.
It's that sort of police. Right? I once got traffic cops investigating my car because I'd parked it in a lay-by opposite a bar where my dad was, and I went in and joined him, and the police came outside, and I went over to talk to them, and it just happened at the time that I didn't have my documents in the car because the wife had them for some reason. I can't think what. It was time for us to renew them anyway, and the guy was like very at me for not having the documents in the car, and I said, "Oh no, is there a fine? How much is it?" And I knew what the situation is. It's actually a lot worse than that. But the guy basically told me it was 1,000 Philippine pesos, or about something like $18, and that he'd be back in 5 minutes to collect it. So he drove away. I went to the ATM, came back, and I paid him with his assurance that it would get into the documentation.
Appropriate hands. Yes.
Certainly didn't go to buy 5 or 6 liters of Red Horse beer that night.
Oh, that's my kind of country, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I used to complain about it. Now I absolutely see the benefits. So there you go. Anyway, no names named or locations there, but that is a situation that can happen. Yeah. So there you go. And thank you for steering us down that little path there, James Op. I'm not being sarcastic. I have fun telling that story. So there you go. Right. BioWare then. And Mass Effect or Dragon Age, Ryan, which one causes you more agony to see going down the shitter?
Oh, this one, because Mass Effect literally made BioWare what it is, well, supposedly what it was at its peak, not what it is today. It's been too long now.
Right. Okay. So at the moment, Dragon Age pisses you off more?
Well, in the current, yes, but in the future, they're going to clearly destroy this.
Yeah, it is looking that way. As we have had a rumor come out now that Mass Effect 5 will have pronoun selection in it. Yeah. I mean, this might as well not even be considered a rumor at this point. I mean, it's the same company that just put out one of the wokest games that's ever existed. And I mean, this is the same year that Dustborn came out.
Right.
And Dragon Age may have taken the title of shittiest woke piece of crap of 2024.
Yeah.
And Concord too. But I'm going to probably remember Dragon Age more than either of them as we go forward.
Yeah.
It's a legacy title. It's because it's a legacy title, and Mass Effect is also a legacy title. Now, Andromeda was a disappointment, but it wasn't exactly an outright disaster. If I remember correctly, I think it was a commercial success, but in the aftermath of its release, it was considered a disappointment. But it wasn't a disaster for BioWare, which is why, unlike, say, Anthem or Dragon Age, a 5th Mass Effect is on the cards. We're not going to see an Anthem 2. I highly doubt we'll never see another Dragon Age game project. So it is last chance saloon for BioWare, because what do they have left? And maybe they remake Jade Empire. I don't fucking know.
Shit, was that them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
Steps.
Yeah, that was a commercial failure, which inspired the creation of Mass Effect.
Yeah,
because that was going to be their first independent property, and it was all like, hailed as like, this is them stepping out of the shadow of, doing licensed material like, Knights of the Old Republic. And
that's right. Yeah, that was them. Anyway, we'll move on then. A new rumor alleges that BioWare's current build for Mass Effect 5 features pronoun selection. The rumor comes from Reddit API Blackout24, who shared it to the Kotaku in Action subreddit. It's since been removed by moderators because it's Reddit and it's communist. Nevertheless, the user shared, "We've got an all-hands-on-deck meeting last week. Devs were asked to delay features, art, and content that may be deemed woke or political and defer them to future patches. As QAs, right, we were tasked to report if we audit or detect anything that might resemble them so they can be fixed. The company wants to launch the game as clean as possible and introduce woke stuff silently through patches."
Yeah.
Now that is insidious, because
that is exactly the word I was going to use. Go on.
Because that could be executed. I mean, think about it. Games these days, and I say these days in recent years, live or die in their first week. If they do well in their first week, you really have to fuck it up down the line for it to not be a success. We saw this with Helldivers 2. They had a great start, then it was mismanaged, then it got fucked, then they fixed it, and now the player base is going up again. So fans are willing to give companies the benefit of the doubt, but I think BioWare has lost all those chances with disappointing project after failure in Andromeda, Anthem, and Veilguard.
Now, Phantom, and Insidious Stealth updates are also par for the course, because, I mean, like, I'll bring it up again, GTA Online, started off as it was, over a decade ago, and now you can't even, on certain levels, as I've mentioned before, target women, so, and they've got their whole thing with the safety and fairness of don't make drug references in a game about quite literally drug running, which, yeah.
There you go. By the way, folks, do follow Kagawaна's advice.
Like the stream.
And Hypnotic too. Anyway, this actually reminds me of a story a couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. I don't know exactly what it was, but it kind of went under the radar. I covered it. I think Smash covered it maybe, but it was Ubisoft had said that DEI was fucking up their games and that they were going to basically abandon and get it out. But then they said that they were planning to do exactly this, basically. They would release games advertising them as not having DEI. Like they were actually willing to potentially go that far. Now, Ubisoft may not exist in a year or two, but if they do, you bet your ass, gamers everywhere, that the next phase, the next 2 years or so, we're going to start seeing games coming out advertised as not having woke or DEI in them. And they might even use those terminologies. Only for them to spoon it in later and right underneath you when you've already paid for it. So
all the more reason to avoid console gaming and stick with PC, where that shit can at least be modded out.
Well, it's also proof, though, John, that the opposition are capable of adapting. It's just they do it far too slowly. I mean, if our opponents were smart, adding on the institutional power that protects them, creators like us would be dead in the water. I mean, creators like us have only gained the recognition we have, and some far more effective than others. You see 3 different stages here. Up and coming, still up and coming, just starting out, up and coming, established. But none of us would resonate with people if the existing system proved effective in their projects and in how they promote them. The state of entertainment in this day and age is as a result of the establishment's incompetence as it is their malice as well, which is why the argument between the two is a moot point. And if our opposition were too stupid, we would have won by now. And if they were too evil, none of us would be here right now. You guys and gals know how unprincipled people operate. And if they're smart about it, then they can be very effective. But usually they are not. Case in point, the Mercante creature.
Yep. And so it comes out, the leaker added that they didn't actually use the word woke. They used the term inclusive content. Which is fine. That's good. I like to know what we're dealing with. I mean, obviously, no one's going to be fooled by the term inclusive content because we all know how to read through the bullshit corporatees now anyway. I've done for years.
Yeah, it's like what George Carlin said.
Our language as YouTubers, we have to self-censor sometimes to avoid saying certain words that we know will trigger an algorithm shutdown.
Yeah, it's like what George Carlin said. Just because you change the word doesn't mean you change the condition. It's still the same disease. You've just named it different. It's not shell shock anymore. It's combat fatigue, and then end up being PTSD. Whether it's called woke, whether it's called DEI or inclusive content, changing the name of the disease does not change the condition itself, folks. It's just goalpost moving. When you lose the narrative control, the damage control is to change the language of the narrative. They don't even change the narrative. They change the language format of the fucking narrative.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Fauci did when he said it's not genetic testing or genetic modification, it's gain-of-function research.
Gain-of-function research.
And then when that one got burned through, now they say it's directed evolution.
Which is actually more sinister.
Yes.
Gain-of-function research functioned quite well as a phrase for them because it sounds vague. It's like the blue harvest of scientific terms. It doesn't inspire any emotional reaction until you learn what it really means.
Right.
Which, of course, is bioengineering weapons, you know?
Gain of function is short for gain of function of control of you.
Gain of death function, yeah. Anyway, as for how they will inject in the propaganda, he detailed some of it will have to do with decals and skins featuring LGBTQ plus flags. We also have decals and skins, blah, 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 blah. The leaker wrote, also claimed current build has pronoun selection.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely one of the people who came out very early and said around the same time as Grums that a complete boycott of AAA is needed. Any legacy company from the 2010s and earlier, we need to pretty much hold it back in my glass before we buy anything.
Oh, you're going underwater.
Really?
Yeah.
You better now?
You're good now, but it was like the last little bit you said.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. Maybe it's because I talk too much sometimes. My throat starts to burn out. Maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. Can't be the tech. Anyway, there you go, though. So, as far as I'm concerned, if a game has pronouns in it, you can more or less consider that the kid handing cigarettes outside the school. Because even though it was a moral panic at the time, a lot of the kids I know who started smoking in school ended up on coke by the time they were 20.
Damn.
And so current build has pronoun selection. Fair enough. Oh, it's just pronouns. Yeah, it's just pronouns now.
It's the title element of it. That's why I personally call them pronoun titles. I mean, you see pronouns absolutely everywhere. I mean, it's the proactive, and then noun, which is the name, the proactive name. That's what it's supposed to be. This is a title. It's a title selection.
Imagine if you could choose your own honorific. I am Lord Will of the Fans. I am Grand Emperor Captain Will of the Fans. You know, I go to the bank and they say, excuse me, sir. And I say, that's your highness, if you don't mind. You know, and then they look at me. They look at me like I was fucking insane. They'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you a prince?" I'd be like, "No, but that's my preferred honorific."
Right.
I mean, it's bullshit.
Yeah, they're titles. They're honorifics. That's how they should be described. These are not pronouns in the conventional sense. They are pronoun titles. They are pronoun honorifics. They are
They function the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, they are a contortion of what a pronoun is supposed to be. Another example of how the opposition twist language to suit narrative to control things.
Right.
And they've done it very well in this instance.
Yeah, and they use pronouns specifically so they could go and use their little, retort. Well, pronouns have always existed.
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, but you've completely undermined and subverted what a pronoun even is, for fuck's sake.
I mean, pronouns exist so that you don't have to tailor your language to suit each individual person.
Right.
That is literally what they're for. Categorizing people broadly so as to not have to constantly refer to someone by their name.
Well, what better way
I was talking to Will, and Will said, and then Will went over to, and then Will blah, blah, blah. No, he did this, then he did that, then he did that.
Well, what better term to try and destroy from a collectivist mindset than a term that enables all these different things to be said? It's about collectivizing language. It is seeped into the mindset of the opposition, where the many are better than the few. And a great way of doing that in that individual mindset is to undermine the concept of the pronoun.
Yep.
Yeah,
collectivist transhumanist rot.
It is. It's a gateway drug. If you accept pronouns, then you are tacitly acknowledging any knock-on effect of accepting those pronouns. And I don't want to do that ever. So fuck you and fuck your pronouns. That's why my pronouns on X anyway are pee-poo. Because if you're going to act like such a fucking child that you need the world to bend around you until it's your own damn fantasy land, then I'll behave like a child as well. There you go. Okay, that will do for that topic in particular. And that brings us to about an average of 15 minutes per topic for Rush News. So T-Chap Steve will be having a good laugh because we're at an hour and a half by the time we end Rush News, as we always are. Fuck it. Oh, well, here we go. Okay.
Maybe we mean rush in the sense of like, rush
Russian.
hour here in America.
No, it's Russian.
Because rush hour is generally with, fraught with a lot of gridlock and it takes more time than it should. Oh, no.
We can hear you, Will. If there is a problem, can you not hear us? I doubt it.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Oh,
welcome
Ryan's
to the
taking over the show.
reality-based takeover of Will of the Fans Live, even if it's only for a few seconds. John, do you know what the main topic of the day is? Because
I think it was something to do with the intergalactic bullshit.
Yes. Naughty Dog's attempt to combine Uncharted with The Last of Us in some kind of lesbian space simulator. It's absolutely insane. They try to take the best bits of great animes of the past. What were they again, John? Because I'm blanking.
The enemies of the past. Because I read an article about they were evidently like they were transhumanists that got basically manipulated and turned into robots, and so they went and they set them on this moon planet that you're doing most of the game in.
Oh, yes, the intergalactic story leaked, folks. Unfortunately, we cannot share links. That's the one, R2. Akira. Yes, the parallels were stunning. We have Will back.
Yep.
And we can't hear you.
Yep. Oh, no. Nope. No, Will. Fuck.
I know, it's very annoying. Let's see if we can try and salvage this, folks, with the intergalactic leaks. Let's see if I can't share my screen, but I can easily have a look at Twitter and see where it is.
Yeah, they were leaked from 4chan.
There we go. Thank you, Will. That's very kind of you, my good man. The full plot for Intergalactic got leaked, folks. Will talked about this recently in a video. You should go and check it out. Maybe have it as a second tab on this as your main tab. But it just goes to show how much the opposition are really leaking like sieves. It also goes to show, John, that those in those companies do not trust their higher ups to have their best interests at heart.
Nor should
what
they.
Do you think?
A lot of well, they shouldn't, because a lot of the times these people end up getting put in positions. Remember when we had the bioware story about like the people that were tasked with training their replacements? And so, this is a constant shuffling in of people that have lesser talent, skill, and ability that are more compliable and just willing to.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Now we can.
Woo! Will's back.
It's StreamYard. I don't know what the hell is happening. It's only StreamYard. I could still hear YouTube and everything. And weird.
You know, T-Gap, if you think you can do a better job, start your own creator journey, make videos, be on
Rising
shows,
Stars.
And don't be an armchair mod. All you mods out there for prominent creators, if you think you can do a better job than us, start your creator journey.
Yeah. I was merely a mod not
it's
even a
just
year
a
ago.
roast. He always does it. I like it. I enjoy it. It keeps me on my toes. It's good. Anyway, never attack your mods. You need them.
They do come in handy.
Right. Sorry about that little interruption there, folks. I'm not really sure what the hell is happening. There's some fucking glitch with StreamYard. Anyway, this came out in the last 24 hours or so. And this person, Foxdie Whisper, or Snake, obviously a Metal Gear fan, has come out and said that the full plot for Intergalactic just got leaked. Now, we never reacted to the trailer on this show, but I assume we all have seen it. We've all, had a fair whack of reacting to it. I think we did it on SNH, didn't we?
I think you did. I'm pretty sure.
As well as individually. So there we go. We don't need to do that again. We all know what it's about, and it looks terrible. It looks really, really riddled with Neil Cuckman's particularly egregious brand of intersectional feminism and DEI and all that shit.
And a good dose of product placement.
Yeah, a massive amount of product placement. You've got Porsche, Adidas, and Sony, but I mean, Sony makes sense. But Porsche and Adidas, no, don't make sense at all.
Yeah.
No idea why that would happen. Anyway, according to this, plot and gameplay details revealed below were sent to a handful of gaming journalists, the most notable of whom includes Jason Schreier, formerly of Kotaku. Total shill.
Mm-hmm.
And they were debating apparently whether or not to share it. Now, Schreier argues the toss that this never actually happened. I'll go to the main list as we go on. Allegedly, there was a community note on this earlier on, but it's gone now. I mean, I was one of the many people who flagged it as being irrelevant, and it only linked to a Blue Sky page anyway that had Jason Schreier being asked if this was legit, and all he said was no. So, there's, and then I pointed out in my video that absolutely there is no way you can trust anything that anyone who would have received this will say. They are all fans and friends of Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann. I mean, hell, the guy was even on Kinda Funny a few times, along with people like Troy Baker, etc., etc. And well, the result is well, let's just have a look. It came out on 4chan. Of all places, which you tend not to see a lot of 4chan being directly linked or displayed on these shows, but I'm going to do it because I don't give a fuck.
Wow, we've gone back in time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we really, really have. Now, the thread, as you can see, has been archived because they tried to shut it down. But it's still here, and I want everyone to know, by the way, that I have already screenshot everything. So, they're not going to stop me. But
you can't memory hold the internet, no matter how hard you try.
Never can. Anyway, Woke Gamer says, can't wait to play Intergalactic. Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, plot and gameplay details revealed below was sent to a handful of gaming journalists, the most notable of whom includes Jason Schreier, but they are debating whether or not to share it. The leaker is supposedly a disgruntled Naughty Dog staff member. Funny how we're hearing so many stories from so many disgruntled game industry insiders lately, isn't it, guys?
Yeah. It's almost like you forced them all to take, like, DEI training classes and, like, have them spend half their fucking day doing shit that doesn't pertain to making games.
As I said, John, while Will's Systems StreamYard was trying to fuck him over, you were seeing the opposition leak like a sieve because those inside know the walls are coming down. That the system is not sustainable.
Yeah, they know that these companies that they are dependent on for income have been sabotaged.
Yeah.
Poisoned from within. And also, a lot of gamers are, I mean, there's a reason the overwhelming number of people, like 97% of the last poll of gamers wanted nothing to do with DEI, right? Gamers become devs and work in the industry. So 90% of the people making these games probably want nothing to do with this DEI bullshit either. And only the few of them who have the balls will reach out about it. But if I was working
emphasis
for
on having the balls, because it's more than likely, some problematic white dude who's just like, I just want to do the goddamn job that I signed up for.
Then leave and start your own fucking company, because that's the only chance you'll have.
That's pretty much all it is now. Yeah,
That's pretty much what it is, unfortunately. Yeah.
So
but if you
anyway,
want the grant money, you know, sorry.
So anyway, basically the point is that it's not just that you get patronized and condescended to by having to learn all this DEI bullshit, right? Which of course obviously means the opposite of what it pertains to mean. Diversity doesn't mean diversity. It means prioritizing certain people based on the color of their skin or their history of ancestry, blah, 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 blah. So it's discrimination, not diversity. Equity is not the same as equality.
Equity
and of course,
is
inclusivity is only exclusivity with a coat of paint on it. And no one's buying any of this shit. And that's why so many people are pissed off. No one with a brain, obviously. If you're an absolute fucking thrall, then you're going to come into people's chats and try and defend it like a moron.
But, it's literally those split down the middle, though, Will. Whether we like it or not, the opposition have institutional power, which gives them the edge, even if they're not the majority. I think it's split down the middle between people, because most people still have that narrative control bubble surrounding them. They're still plugged into the matrix. Now, that has changed a lot over the past 9 years, and hopefully it'll change more as we get into the 2030s. But the empire of lies is on the back foot. The pillar of media is gone. The pillar of entertainment is shaking. And fingers crossed, the ancient pillars of education go down as well.
Yeah. They have institutional power, but they should just be institutionalized.
Exactly, John. Well said.
Unfortunately true. Now, the other element of this is if I was somebody who had worked at a particular company and potentially had a hand in something I know that the gamers and the industry and the customers have loved, because, and I'm passionate about what I make and I really care about what gets put out because my name's on it. I would be doubly, if not quadruply angry at the fact that I'm being forced to change the things that I know will resonate with gamers into things that gamers will absolutely rebel against. And that will result in poor sales, which will result in the end of the company, perhaps a company I've given 10, 15, 20 years of my life to. Even if I wasn't the owner, even if it's not like someone like Chris Avallone, who was co-founder of Obsidian, or co-owner of Obsidian, and who is gone now and is now telling people to to sue them for discriminating in their hiring practices.
Well, that's why it's very important, Will, that when you start something, you never leave it to someone else. I think that's a lesson that we should learn from prior experiences, not just among companies, like games companies, entertainment companies, but even creator-made projects. Your project, your company, in my view, lives and unfortunately dies with its founder, because those who come after will never be able to live up to the founder or the founders who made it what it was.
Yep, just look at the story of Chris Avallone and Obsidian. But to answer Woke Gamer's question, they said, "Can I ask what do you three white men want in a game?" I want escapism. I want anything other than the shit I deal with in everyday reality.
I don't want to be constantly reminded of pointless political agendas that get rammed down your throats every possible time you turn on the television or look at your phone or have to interact with some corporation in some way in your life.
I'll have you know, Woke Gamer, I'm Jewish. So if you criticize me in any way, shape, or form, your life will suddenly be ruined. Carry on, Will.
Whatever, anyway. So, it's no surprise that there's a disgruntled Naughty Dog staff member who hates the direction the company's going as Druckmann gets more powerful and influential, because the guy, after Last of Us 2 came out and was one of the most fucking traded in games ever, to the point of game stores actually having to put signs up saying we do not accept any more copies of The Last of Us 2.
The Least of Us.
The Least of Us, yeah. That's a good one. I remember that. And of course, that's when Neil Cuckman as a name came about as well in 2020, when a lot of YouTubers reacted to the leaked footage because, I mean, it was pretty fucking earth-shattering to find out what was going to happen in this game. And then they copyright claimed them. Copyright struck the channels. We all remember RK Outpost had 2 strikes, one more, and his channel's done.
Do you know what happened in the aftermath of that? So many great golf memes and Scott Steiner memes.
Oh, yeah, so funny. Yeah. The memes on Last of Us 2 were fucking legendary. Anyway, we now then apparently, allegedly, have a complete breakdown of the plot of Intergalactic, which we're going to read in its entirety. And hopefully that doesn't bother anybody here, though. I'm thinking, based on the usual people who watch our show, they don't care.
Nah, we're playing to our audience.
Now, I've already read this. I've already made a video on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty poor. And my reaction to this was that I'm inclined to believe it. It sounds like a Druckmann-style piece of literature. You know, it's full of all that shocking death moments that you don't expect and stuff like that. And it just reeks of Druckmann. So either someone is extremely good at mimicking a Neil Druckmann type, which I don't think is a thing, or it's true. So we'll find
I think it is true, because I don't think Druckmann has the presence to be an inspiration for others to emulate. He's hardly a Spielberg. He's not even a Jar Jar Abrams. I remember, and I think you saw this as well, Will, on SNH, when he was posing for a photograph and no one took a picture. This guy is not being emulated by another person, and if he is, that person is a sad person.
Yeah, he's also very much a one-trick pony that can't change his ways. So anything.
It's also worth pointing out.
Story.
He has yet to actually create anything until now, because he didn't create The Last of Us. He had a hand in creating it with Bruce Straley. And he didn't create Uncharted. That was Amy Hennig. He took over both of those and ran them into the ground.
Yeah. And he clearly just wants a job in Hollywood.
And yeah, he doesn't give a shit, does he? He's still bitter about being completely snubbed on the red carpet for the Last of Us TV show. Anyway, let's not beat about the bush any further, and let's just get into this. So the player character Jordan was a member of the Five Aces, a band of notorious criminals. You pretty much worked that out from the trailer. The leader, Luis, Tony Dalton, disappeared without a trace, causing the Five to drift apart. The reason for Jordan's shaved head, the absurd reaction to which ND fully expected, is to serve the hiding of her identity as she is a wanted criminal.
Yeah, because obviously when you're looking for someone, the thing you focus on is their hair and not their face.
It's ridiculous. This is pure cope. Like, this is the most fucking refined copium that you can find on the internet, trying to say that, especially to include the phrase "the absurd reaction to which ND fully expected." Haha, yes, we completely expected that you would have a negative reaction to a bold, angry looking, surly, man-bodied feminist archetype.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething.
This is a picture of me. This is 2 pictures of me.
Right.
This is me with hair. And this is me when I shaved my head.
And they both look very creepy.
I deliberately went for the douchiest, creepiest photos I could find. Although actually, the one on the left was not me posing. It was just someone actually taking a picture of me.
Will of the fans in Breaking Bad on the right.
Yeah, this is my Jesse Pinkman saga.
That's right.
Oh, God.
But anyway, the point
though,
is, right, seriously, you can tell that that's the same guy, right? I mean,
yeah,
you can
totally.
tell that that's exactly the same man.
Yeah.
Twice.
Generally speaking, in any story I've ever seen where, like, you know, someone's on the lam and trying to, like, not be discovered, they usually try to obscure their face, put on sunglasses, get a false beard, or, like, you know, like some kind
or in
of
my
crazy
case,
shit.
a real beard.
Yeah. You know, I mean, but generally the idea is to not go and make more of your face fucking visible, because you'd think that they probably have, you know, facial recognition technology in this weird universe that they're, you know, projecting through. So I don't know. It's retarded.
There you go. Anyway, that's what you get. A picture of me to prove that logic doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. So, yeah, you're a wanted criminal, so you shaved your head. Okay, that's ridiculous. I mean, you know, you ever see The Fugitive with Harrison Ford?
Mm-hmm.
The 90s movie? It's a great movie. Based on a series, actually. In that movie, as he's escaped from prison, well, not from prison transferred, he's innocent, he's trying to clear his name. But the first thing he has to do is change his fucking appearance. So he shaves off his whole beard, goes right back to having, he's got like a big ass beard, he shaves it off completely. Then he dyes his hair black. It's enough that a few people have to look at him twice, but as soon as anyone gets a good look at him, it's obvious it's him.
Yep.
He then also like pulls jackets over his face and things like that.
Wears a hat, sunglasses, tries to, you know, like I stated, obscure parts of your face that people would find identifiable. So,
yep. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, Jordan works as a bounty hunter, of course. I mean, as soon as she was putting on that red jacket, I was like, "Oh, bounty hunter."
Yeah. And a big Akira fan.
Yes, of course. They're trying to do the Canada jacket thing. Yeah. There'll probably be a motorbike in it. I've heard there's vehicle combat. Anyway, she wants to find former partners, particularly Luis, who she sees as a father figure. Kamal Nanjiani plays Colin, the comic relief of the crew. Well, that's cast typing, of course, because he was Dinesh in Silicon Valley, which is one of the funniest shows of the last 20 years. Yeah. The tutorial and opening mission is on Semperia's moon. Yeah. Semperia? Yes. All right. Leading to Jordan chasing Colin into space. An important note from the leak is that there will be no space combat. The aforementioned segment is a cutscene. That doesn't bother me at all. There are plenty of games where I wasn't expecting space combat. Were you?
No, not really.
I mean, seeing all the attempts from, say, Ubisoft and Bethesda trying to do it and not really succeeding. It's not really an element that can be well done by AAA studios. Get some fresh blood into it.
It's not Naughty Dog either.
Yeah. Car combat really isn't their strong suit. I mean, like back when Jack 2 came out, that
vehicle sections are fucking a nightmare. They're annoying as hell.
Yeah. Back when Jack 2 came out, you had the hover bike, and like that's like about the most that they've ever done in terms of any kind of vehicle or combat mechanics. So yeah.
It's true. The Porsche spaceship has light trails. Just like Canada's bike, yeah. Although they start off blue and end up pink.
Yeah, there's nothing Porsche about that fucking spaceship.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't really care anyway. I've played a lot of space games without space combat. Star Ocean, for example. Never bothered me. As they fly into the Simp's atmosphere, an EMP wave disables both ships, leading them to crash on different locations. The bulk of the game is described as an open world Uncharted mixed with sci-fi elements, which is a real fucking shame, because that sounds like it would have worked. I mean, who doesn't like Uncharted style gameplay, and who doesn't like open world?
I think that was designed to draw people in, and then as we go through with practically the second half of the game, it then morphs into The Last of Us.
Right.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Yeah, it does. It goes to a certain point, it's Uncharted, and then the second half is Last of Us, proving Neil Druckmann doesn't have an original idea in his head. The majority of enemy combatants are AI-driven machines, blah, 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 blah. Base of operations is your ship, which you can customize. You recruit each of the members of your crew as you each search for Luis. And quite interesting because I guess they're all on the planet. The gist of the plot is that Luis sent a message to all of them, excluding Jordan, to meet him on the planet. The others are all men then, probably. Oh, no, there is
E-Man Woman Haters Club.
Don't know. They were specifically instructed to come alone and not to mention this to the other members. Once 3 members of the crew besides Luis join you, the game takes a hard turn. An underground dwelling race of aliens known as Semperians kidnap Jordan's teammates. The ship, with all its decorations and customization, is destroyed, inspired by Mass Effect 2's collector's event. Yeah, of course. The Semperians resemble humans with some notable differences, including the ability to sprout large insect legs that allow them to scale walls as well as night vision. So you've got your body horror there as well to go with The Last of Us.
Now, if that one part is true, they quite literally have you just do a whole bunch of busy work for something that ultimately proves to be meaningless, because it's like, oh, you can customize the inside of your ship, which there's also some scale issues going on. Is that like how big is this ship that you walk around in that looks like it's supposed to be a sleek sports car?
It's like smashing.
It's actually like a fucking house, you know?
Right?
It's like smashing different games together and expecting a good project. There's smashing in a bit of Ubisoft, smash in a bit of BioWare, smash in a bit of Naughty Dog's previous projects, and think you have something that's going to resonate with people. I mean, pick a lane, man. Are you going to have an open world, like investigatory game, or are you going to have a survival horror game? If you don't stay in your lane, it's over.
Did you play Final Fantasy 15?
No, I've never.
So Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15, first of all, shout out Pet Brett, 5 Will of the Fans memberships gifted. You lucky people. Thank you very much for that. So Final Fantasy 15 begins with you just journeying around open world in a car with your buddies, right? And I don't like Final Fantasy 15 very much. I played it at the time and enjoyed it well enough, but didn't resonate with me at all. The open world element of it was the best thing about it. But when you get to a portion of the game, they also had chapters in it, which I said I fucking hate in RPGs. I don't like it at all. They had them for 30 years before that, didn't need them. But anyway, there are chapters, and when you get to a certain chapter, you lose access to the entire open world of the game. And from that point on, you are in a corridor for like the next 2 chapters. Then you're trapped, then you get injured, then something else happens, then you're a crowbar. You're forced in one direction the entire way through the last 4 or so chapters until the final boss.
So it's a funnel.
At no point can you go back to exploring the greater world. And that's like it's like 30% of the game you spend. So it's the same thing. And it's one
designed that game.
Well, it began as Final Fantasy Versus 13 and was in development for 10 years, which at the time was considered a freak because it was absurd that a game would be in development for that long.
Right.
But traditionally with RPGs, right, and games in general, if you have an open world, what's the gameplay loop? Typically, you have a small area to play in at the beginning. By the end, you have access to everywhere.
Yeah.
Or you have, in the case of something like Final Fantasy, usually you are able to pursue side quests that will gain you access to the areas you still couldn't reach. So eventually you have everything at your disposal.
Yeah, I never have understood this idea that a corridor runner can be considered an RPG, because I mean, it's like Metal Gear's not an RPG. You know, that's a game that's all about corridors. Other than Snake Eater is perhaps the most open world version that they've ever done, but even that is still
pretty linear. All the Metal Gear games are pretty linear. But I know what you're trying to say. With Final Fantasy X, what happened was you would be able to you got on the airship and you could instantly teleport down to various locations. There was no world map, but each area connected seamlessly to the next. You could walk from one end of the world to the other if you wanted to. So there's that. But to get to the final location was its own spot where you could go, and right up until that you decide to fight the final boss. You can go into the area, exit again, explore the whole world at your leisure right up until you decide to finish and fight all the super bosses and stuff. And that's been the same with RPGs in general, with a couple of exceptions. For the most games that could profess to have any kind of open world element to them, you don't just go, okay, well, now we're just going to change it, and now you are going to be playing a completely different game. And that is what it sounds like they're doing here. Now, I don't know if they're getting rid of the open world element of it, but just these dramatic tone shifts, it doesn't look good. It looks lopsided. It looks like you're trying to do 2 things and you couldn't decide which, so you tried to do both.
Yeah, and generally, even when they do that, it's usually like an in-game element, and they will warn you that, you know, like you can't go back beyond this point. That's what they did in Cyberpunk 2077, you know, where it's like, if you want to actually go on this part of it, are you sure you're ready to go? Because there's no going back from here.
No back from here. Yeah. Even as far back as Kingdom Hearts, they were doing stuff like that.
Yep.
In other older RPGs, there wouldn't necessarily be a big notification on the screen telling you that this is the point of no return. It would be implied by the characters.
Which actually does remind me, when we were talking about the Calm Plains in Final Fantasy X, they do the exact same thing, and that's why I remembered that part of the game, because that's where I made my save at, my big save, and then I did finish it, but I always made sure that I had the thing of Calm Plains so I could go back and, you know, do stuff.
I mean, in 10 though, you can. The problem is that after the Calmlands, I think the events happen the way they do.
Yeah.
That lead to you not being able to go back to certain areas of the world without having to fight the Dark Aeons.
Right.
And if you're not ready for the Dark Aeons, you're fucked.
Right.
You know? So there's that. But anyway, to move on then, we get to here. It says, with more of a survival horror shift, you make your way through underground tunnels to try and save your crew. Eventually, you reach where they're held. It revealed Luis is preparing to execute them in front of a horde of angry Simperians. Simps, Jordan interrupts, begging to know why Luis is doing this. Luis explains the big twist of the game, that the Simperians were once...
Because you're all woke.
Yeah, been radicalized. But he votes Democrat now. Who were teleported to the planet thousands of years ago as a side effect of the quantum experimentation needed to develop distant spacefaring technology.
So transhumanism.
A fuck up led to a whole bunch of humans being trapped on another planet. The quantum influence on their genetics rapidly advanced the stages of evolution to help them adapt to Simperia's harsh environment. Guys, do you think human evolution will ever allow humans to sprout bug legs?
Not if I can
Highly
get away
doubtful.
with stopping it.
Not without a lot of scientific fuckery and
we're not remotely like insects.
No.
Well, if you believe evolution theory, and folks, it is still a theory, then human beings evolve as a result of the environment they're within. Now, if these creatures have been on the planet for thousands of years, then you could argue that evolution caused the people to evolve in such a way to survive. But that kind of evolution, that quickly?
Millions of years.
It takes a long time. It takes a lot longer than a few thousand years for natural evolution, unless they directed their own not revolution.
Unless people think that this is the X-Men world where, you know, suddenly there's just a weird mutation that happens, like a leap forward. That's from a comic book, Neil. But anyway, it does say that this happened, what was it? Thousands of years ago. So this is the confusing thing, right? Is this a precursor race? Because the game has a quote at the beginning of the trailer in that weird language, right? And then it says the quote, which is basically this plot, by the way. And it says ancient Simperian blah 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 1986.
Yeah.
Right. So this has led to people thinking that the game is set in 1986. I don't know if it is, because it says they're ancient. So maybe it is in the far future.
I'm thinking myself, I think 1986 is when they fuck about and do all the initial stuff, and you are actually taking place in a later point in history.
That would make more sense to me. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I'm trying to help Druckmann here, but that's what I do.
More and more as I look through this plot, it looks like a bastardization of the Christian mythos, which is very suspicious considering Druckmann's heritage.
We'll get to it. But the point is, right, if this is set in 1986, that's the 0 year of this plot, right? Then that means that humans were traveling in space thousands of years ago, when modern human science has only existed since about Galileo.
Right.
Like, what happened? The entire human history would be so different
Yeah.
As to warrant it being in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, it
for
would
example.
need
Earth.
yeah, it would need a moment which makes it an alternate timeline. A
Yeah,
moment
like
that,
Star Trek.
Yeah, a moment that drastically shifts from the existing history. And for me, I just said something crazy like, "Is this a universe without Africa?" Because that would be a reason for so much advancement.
I don't know, but the point is, right? I say Star Wars is not sci-fi because it doesn't mention or relate to us here now,
Yeah,
or
it's
anything
fantasy.
to do. It has nothing to do with us. Whereas Star Trek is supposed to be the future,
Right?
And stories like, I don't know, time travel stories like Back to the Future are the contemporary world with one thing changed about them. Either like time travel is possible. Harry Potter as a fantasy story is a version of this world where magic is a secretive thing that actually exists. So it's a fantasy story. It fits in because of that. Like Star Wars fits in as a fantasy story because it has nothing to do with us, just like Middle Earth isn't specifically depicted as being the UK and Europe, thousands of years ago. So this story then needs to establish if it is connected to our world or not. Even Fallout basically just says that the difference for their universe and ours happened in the 1950s.
Yep.
And that's it. Technological trends were different. So fair enough. Anyway, it doesn't make sense to me yet, but I'm sure it will make sense at some point. Not that I care really, because it's going to be a fucking woke shit. So anyway, so that's how they ended up on that planet, and they're actually humans who went there thousands of years ago and evolved. And that's how they ended up becoming insectoid humans. When Luis crashed, he found himself empathizing with them, promising to help support their desire to return to Earth. So they want to go back to Earth. Okay. He'd read Heart of Darkness, obviously, yes. The Semperian religion founded by the heretic prophet, oh, you said the thing, stated generations upon generations would suffer until a messiah arrived to lead Semperians to their ancestral home, where they would reclaim the land and purge its inhabitants.
Oh, so he wants to be the Messiah, and then
but
it'll probably end up being Girl Boss.
The girl who's the key to everything. Yes, exactly. Yeah. The AI software and battle machinery on the planet was constructed over thousands of years to assist in invading Earth. So they want to go home, but they also straight up don't want to even try a friendly method.
Right.
They straight up want to invade.
Yeah, it's like an Antichrist
the Middle
story.
East?
Instead of a Christ story of Christ, it's like an Antichrist story.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the Middle East.
How dare you big baddies throw us in the trash? We're here to destroy you. Gee, I'm glad that we didn't give you an opportunity.
They want to turn Earth into the Gaza Strip. That's what this basically is.
Pretty much.
However, the technology needed for a ship to pierce Semperia's atmosphere without being disabled by its unique qualities could not be figured out. Jordan is forced to watch as each of her companions are shot in the head by Luis.
Sounds
so
like a
Luis
Druckmann
just kills them all in cold blood. How very Druck.
Yep. Couldn't find a space golf club.
Fuck the Druck. N-words get shook. She begs to know why he is doing this. Luis informs her...
I was written by a hack, that's why.
Yeah. My character is a Druckmann character. What do you expect? Right. Now you're going to play as me, and you're going to have to empathize with me.
Right. These are my pronouns. Get used to it.
Yeah, fuck your pronouns. You got insect legs, motherfuckers. Anyway, this is the weirdest thing as well. And yeah, you know what? Livet's done it already in the chat. How can the Semperians go back to Earth since they've been here for thousands of years and have mutated to live on that planet?
Right.
Why would they want to leave?
Right.
Especially as no one can get into or out of the atmosphere of this planet without their ship getting destroyed.
Yeah, it's simple revenge. More and more. This is basically an Antichrist story, folks.
And I said this will be a Naughty Dog game no matter
Space
what it looks
Muslims.
like, you will not visit more than one planet in this game. That is what I said, because that's what always happens. You think, like Last of Us, you are going from place to place, but you don't have any freedom to choose. Like in a space version of that, I would say you should be able to choose which planet you go to next to further the story. But no, it will be almost entirely contained on one planet.
Right.
Gigantic bait and switch. We saw this.
So intergalactic.
We saw this with Square Enix's Outriders and how that started, and it started, in my view, very well, and then it completely changed. I mean, your main character suddenly just trips into a stasis pod for not hundreds of years, but for decades until someone stumbles upon you, and then the whole story just changes right at the beginning. Bait and switch.
The only thing that I'm surprised by is that when it does its whole little, promotional, advertising shit, and the CD that it pulls is the Pet Shop Boys, I think it was probably intended to be the Beastie Boys, and then it was going to be Intergalactic Planetary.
Of course, yeah.
Intergalactic, yeah.
Of course. I don't know why they, and I guess that it does work with It's a Sin, though, if you're doing a weird religious sect. Anyway, so yeah, I think right up until the Semperian religion element, you have basically Uncharted in space, which they could have probably had turn into, the continuing adventures of Jordan, the fucking bull dyke, running around in every game's a different planet
in search of a bra.
But this seems more like a central thesis of any particular game series, but I don't know. Anyway, Lewis informs her she was never meant to be here, and that's why he didn't call her. He was actually trying to protect her, basically. It's revealed that Luis informed Galactipol. Seriously, did you get 14-year-olds to make up these names?
Right.
It's like,
Galactic and Interpol. Galactipol.
It's like, hey, you're going to be a sky pirate, so we're going to call you a sky rat.
A sky rat.
Yeah.
It's like a 14-year-old's fucking imagination. Anyway, that 4 of the 5 aces would be on Semperia, and a fleet of police ships outfitted with EMP countering tech arrive at the planet. So I guess they can get on the planet because the atmosphere causes EMPs, right?
Yeah, didn't they just say it's impossible to go?
Well,
and to
no,
leave?
because it's as they fly into the atmosphere, an EMP is what causes them to crash. So anytime you try to exit or enter the planet's atmosphere, you get blitzed with an EMP, which obviously takes down all your electrical equipment and fucks you up, and your ship is toast. Makes sense. But anyway, my dad says perhaps Mercante is one of these stick insects.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so now we have knowledge that police in this universe are aware that some planets have what is otherwise considered a unique quality, and just have the Deus Ex Machina needed to be able to come and arrest all these crazies. So now you're in, I don't know what the fuck you're in anymore. Like, the police are coming. Okay. So anyway, Luis has affection for Jordan because, of course, she's perfect and wonderful despite being a surly bitch. So he orders the Sempirisms, the Sempitisms to detain her. Why not just kill her? Oh, because you like her.
Yeah.
While they fight Galactipol and take their ships, Jordan escapes, and the final act has the player tear through a war zone between the two sides, ultimately resulting in Jordan chasing Luis down and killing him as he operates a huge tank. Metal Gear.
Right.
It can't
be.
be.
The fist fight, too.
Damn. Yeah, he's standing on top of it having a punch up. Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck's sake. Liquid. Anyway, Luis's dying words are to ask Jordan to continue his work, that the Semperians deserve to see their home again.
Yep. She'll be the Messiah, y'all. The Messiah.
The player has the choice to use the tank to destroy Semperian robots, leaving them defenseless to be slaughtered by Galactipol. or you can destroy the Galactipol's ships. After either choice is made, you find Luis's old ship and fly into space. Does that have an EMP countering technology on it?
Must do.
It's made out of wood.
The ending depending on which choice you made. Someone says, this is so terrible, I believe it.
So the one thing about this game that I know will be better than The Last of Us Part 2 is at least you get a fucking choice at the end between one thing and another.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like The Last of Us 2 needed a choice. The Last of Us 1, I'm glad it didn't have a choice. Because I absolutely love the way Last of Us 1 ends and at the time maintained that no sequel should ever be made. Right. Because that ending was perfect. It was like the end of the Italian Job, except far better. But there you go. Anyway, the reasons someone put here, the reason for Jordan's shaved head, blah, 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 because of course you don't want to be able to recognize them. So they shave their head. Wow. I surely can't recognize someone if they don't have hair, but haven't done anything to obscure their face. It's not like I couldn't just take a photo of them and cover their hair, then match it to a shaved head. Oh my, so devilish of Neil. Someone else is here to say, yeah, this is good. Someone else put, oh my god, I was wrong. They were humans all along. You finally made a chuddy. Yes, you finally made a chuddy. You finally made a chuddy out of me. Simpsons Planet of the Apes. So there you go. Then we've got Chud crying, and obviously all the warfare starts from there. But that is your story.
Yay, shit, I hate it.
Well,
I mean, okay, it might have been good 20 years ago, but it's derivative as fuck. Every part of it, we said, oh, that sounds like this, that sounds like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
and
very by numbers.
From my perspective, though, you look at all those reactions to the leak, and almost all of them were negative. I mean, if you are an independent creator, it's good to take, you know, the best of different material and put them all together. But when you're an industry professional that's supposed to be cream of the crop, photorealistic gameplay, doing that doesn't work, and it will never work. You can't take a piece of fucking Far Cry and a piece of Starfield or a piece of Final Fantasy 15 and just smack them all together. A piece of Uncharted and Last of Us and smack that together as well, because it's just going to be a mess.
Yeah. It's like putting strawberries in lasagna. Just, what are you doing? You know?
Well, there you go. I just think it's derivative. It sounds like Space Uncharted than Space Last of Us, and those two things are very different in tone. There's a reason I will pick up and play an Uncharted game just to sort of have some entertainment for me and my dad or something. But we've never gone back and played through the entire Last of Us since we finished it the first time. I've played it once more since then. And that was the remastered version because I wanted the trophies again. But you know, that was like a while later, and I haven't played it since. I remember that game so very well. That's the kind of thing you only go into when you're in a certain mindset, you know.
And is this just
Uncharted
a
is
standalone?
popcorn? Is a popcorn flick. Uncharted is like Indiana Jones. Last of Us is like fucking
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Yeah.
Well, you got two parts of The Last of Us. You've got how many Uncharted games?
I don't count the second one.
4. Have you got 4 Uncharted games? Is this Intergalactic?
I only count 3 of them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, is this Intergalactic just going to be a standalone project, or
I don't know? Well, I mean, it's
depends how much money it
Untamed
makes
now, isn't it? Because Straley's not there to lead the creation of the plot like he was on Last of Us, and Amy Hennig is not there to lead Uncharted. So it's just Druckmann now, like Last of Us 2.
They're going to leave it open on a cliffhanger, depending on the amount of money it makes.
Well, there's
Druckmann is the greatest student. Druckmann is widely known to be the greatest pupil that Anita Sarkeesian ever had.
Well, there is a choice at the end, so surely if there is a second game, choices have consequences. If
Well,
you
that's
pick
the
this,
thing, isn't it?
if you
For
pick,
now.
if you pick the pro bug alien choice, are we going to see a fleet of fucking ships just invading Earth? Or if you pick the police cop choice, you end up getting arrested and framed for everything, which starts something completely different.
That is literally the best possible two outcomes I can think of. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they decide to make a second game.
Yeah, I don't.
Either
think it's gonna
you
be as
end up
successful as they
becoming the
expect it
heretic
to be.
product or a profit or not. I mean, I don't think so. But the other thing you got to remember is this is Naughty Dog, and Sony will continue to pump money into Naughty Dog.
Yeah,
True.
The thing is, the other thing you got to remember is that The Last of Us 2, despite the fact that it was a disaster, we never saw sales numbers after the first week.
Yep.
Because everybody found out that the leaks were true and returned their games, and that you could not move for copies of Last of Us 2 on shop shelves. I remember it, even here in the Philippines.
Well, I can't think off the top of my head, Will, of a Naughty Dog game that didn't get a sequel. Now, I don't know much about the company, especially in recent years, but has
No,
there
you're
ever
right.
been?
Crash has 3 sequels and a remake.
Jack's
Crash Team Racing, I guess. Did they make that though? Yeah. Jack and Daxter has many. Yeah. Uncharted has 4. Technically, I only count 3. And Last of Us technically has a second part. Anyway, technically, I don't count it. So there you go. Yeah, I guess that will probably be what they'll be trying to do, create a new franchise. Stay the fuck away from Last of Us for a while. Although some woke shitheads have tried to argue the toss with me that they're actually making Last of Us 3 at the same time, which I don't believe for a fucking second, because that's not how Naughty Dog makes games.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog is
Last
one
of Us
ass
3
man.
exists in any way, shape, or form, it'll be on that shitty series.
Which you'll
My
be.
dad's on fucking form today. He says you don't need food for Mercante. She just has her own Beetlejuice.
That is disgusting.
Alyssa, you're getting roasted by an 82-year-old man. You fucking got no game.
Literally, a man who's the same age as Joe Biden, but a heck of a lot sharper.
Fucking a lot sharper. But, there's not any real reason that people have to go downhill at advanced age. I just found out today that the woman who's been voicing Goku since the original Japanese Dragon Ball is like 88 years old and still voicing Goku and other characters. And she's been working since she was 3.
That's longevity.
That's some fucking Japanese work ethic there, eh?
You go that far back. Japan was a really different nation back then. My, oh my, 85 years ago.
Yeah, I'll be honest. That's part of the reason that I do the PWG VTuber is like, people say that I've got a good young voice. I'm gonna be 44 next month, so if my vocal qualities stay the same, I could easily just be trapped in time for decades as this VTuber.
Yep, and then you can just turn yourself into what is that app? You can like create your own virtual version of yourself and talk to it.
Oh yeah, that's one of the ideas at some point in time.
Yeah,
and then I could just like retire and let problematic white guy pay all my bills.
There you go. Change your name legally. Anyway, there you go. Obviously, we have very little to no interest in exploring the possibilities of this plot. It's clear that Neil Druckmann doesn't have any more ideas. Just let's put these 2 scenarios that we've already made in space. That's it.
Yeah.
With a bunch of borrowed shit from things that are better.
Yeah, and then we'll hire Trent
Product
Reznor, and that'll bring in like all of his fans as well.
Yeah, all those 50-year-old Nine Inch Nails fans. Yeah,
right. Yeah, because I'm a young Nine Inch Nails fan, and I'm I'll be 44 next month. So
yep, there you go. I'm not impressed. I guess if the game had somehow blown me away with this plot, to be fair, I'm not gonna lie, I was probably not gonna like it anyway because I've seen enough. It's not for me, and I know Druckmann. I know how he operates. I've seen him in interviews. I've seen his work. I've watched him slowly consolidate power around himself, from secondary writer to secondary director to complete creative control. As each person has left Naughty Dog, Druckmann's risen up and the games have got worse.
It's like if Alex Kurtzman was a game maker.
So that's why we call him Cuckman.
Yep.
That because he can't help but bow towards women. Anyway, regardless, I think that's enough for one episode. We've done 24 minutes over, and I'm sorry, guys. I knew that would probably happen once we got into the subject, but well, whatever. Give bang for your buck. Speaking of bucks,
of course, these days,
Eris Roda's going to make sure we go for at least another 10 minutes with a £5 banger. And asks serious question. Debate invited. Medicine is science, right? So a medical drama like House is technically science fiction.
well, it's certainly not science fact. I mean, they're pretty fast and loose with some of the things that they do in there. So yeah,
It's a great show, though. I do love that fucking show.
my sister's actually in House quite a bit, which is part of the reason why people are always like, you remind me of someone. It's like you probably saw my sister on House or on 24. She used to be a
Who's your
extra.
sister?
Her name's Sarah. She's just she's a background extra in various series. So, you know, it was funny though. The first time she was telling me the story about it when I was in Texas, she literally showed up on the screen the moment that she was talking about, hey, I used to be in House. And
That's cool.
Yeah,
I've got a mate who was a professional extra as well. Don't know if he still does it, but he if you ever watched The Thick of It, you know, with Peter Capaldi as Malcolm Tucker, there's an episode where they bring a guy in to a radio station where they're having a debate about piercings and tattoos because he has loads of piercings and tattoos. That's my friend Dan.
Nice.
Good guy. But to get to the question, so science fiction, technically you're correct. You are. Yes, medicine is science. And so a medical drama like House would constitute science fiction because they are using science, sometimes sort of fictional science, to achieve their ends. The only thing I would say that disqualifies it is the fact that we invent these genres for a reason, and that is to indicate to an audience what they're going to likely be seeing when they decide to watch something. And so by that definition, no, it's not at all. It's a medical drama.
Technically correct, practically incorrect. That's why the term medical drama exists, because there are some elements of science fiction that aren't.
By that reckoning, Scrubs is science fiction too.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, I love me some Scrubs. The DVDs are right behind me.
And I think the key element is drama. There's more drama in a medical drama than there is science fiction. That's the separation between the two.
If you're watching a science fiction piece, you are expecting there to be at least one major leap of distance, or significant, I should say, maybe not major, because it doesn't have to, it could be 20 years in the future. You know, and but there has to be some sort of anchor point that ties it to us here and now watching it, you the viewer, in some measurable or at least hypothetically measurable way, like a number of years or a parallel world or something that tells you that this is set in the universe where you live.
Set in the future where they successfully create a cure for cancer, which then turns everyone into a zombie, and then you've got Resident Evil.
Yeah, because I mean, you could argue that the world that we live in is a giant work of fiction because we're, you know, surrounded by so many different kinds of facades that are manifested by, and you know, so
deep state law.
Yeah. So you really kind of have to, like, you know, be a little bit.
I mean,
more
technically,
judicious
COVID was science fiction.
Exactly. That very much was science. Yes, we live in a dystopic sci-fi reality.
Yes. Except that it happened.
Right.
But, So when we're talking about genre, the point is to indicate what you're watching. I don't go to see something called Star Wars and then find out that it's about two guys fighting each other over who can name a star they both spotted with a telescope in 1977. You know,
and then they have a war about it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I expect, you know, lasers and spaceships and stuff like that. As you know, even though, for example, that's me just accidentally using a science fantasy or a space fantasy, not science, because there's no actual science in it, to elucidate my point. When what I should have said was Star Trek. because that actually is set with Earth as part of the story. Whereas there is no Earth or human race beyond one time when Han Solo ironically calls Jabba the Hutt a wonderful human being. There is no other time that any of our terms are really used in Star Wars.
According to Star Wars Outlaws, Jabba the Hutt, he's the savior of the universe. You know, he comes in right at the clinch.
Is that the actual canon end, or are there multiple ends?
There are different people that you can ultimately call in to help you in the final space battle. And
because I saw Mauler's playthrough of that, and he had Jabba come and get him, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Watched the rest of it, so I had no idea why Jabba the Hutt was rescuing Cave S. Oh shit! That would be my alarm going off. Apologies, folks. I can't get it to shut the hell up.
Ring-a-ding-ding, it's right.
It's telling us it's time to go.
It's telling me it's time to fast because I'm trying to lose weight before Christmas. Anyway, that'll do for the show, and thank you to absolutely everybody who has stuck with us for the long haul of this one. Hope we didn't shatter your dreams too much with Woke Gamer for attempting to troll the stream and failing, and to everybody else for being just fucking legends. We'll start our outros. John, what you got coming up?
Let's see. It's Tuesday. I don't think I really have anything planned for today, and it's Christmas season, so things seem to be a little bit more in a follow period. So I think next thing I'm doing will be with you guys on Thursday morning. So I might, depending on if Sonia decides to stream tonight, I might show up, help her, try to do some stuff. But other than that, got nothing. So safe travels ahead. Have a wonderful week going forward. Be awesome as always.
Super. Ryan?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching the 69th episode of WTF Live. Yes, Will, you said WTF Live once in a video. Yes, I did watch it.
I did it
That's
earlier
how
on.
I knew. It's fucking freaky when you're watching a video and you hear someone just saying your name. It's like, oh, okay. Just out of
Fine, it's
nowhere.
69.
But
I saw myself in a Smash JT video yesterday. I was like, wow, that's me.
I'm glad I wasn't included. My goodness. I like to stay under the radar. But folks, I am releasing 5 videos for today. The first one was just released a minute ago, going through the whole Mercante lawsuit situation with Will and with John, and expect plenty more videos as the day goes on. And we'll make 5 videos tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll make plenty of videos in the week between now and Christmas Eve. In regards to shows, Tangent Kings on the 20th, Old White Road on the 22nd, and then 27th, 29th, same schedule. But in terms of other shows beyond that, you can check me out later today at 10 p.m. UK time. That's 5 p.m. Eastern on Millennial Woes' channel, on Twitter, and on other sites as well, Twitter/X, he calls it Twitter, for Millennial, in which I am a special guest. He does this great series of shows over the Christmas period. He's doing about 50 of them with all sorts of fine folks and fellow creators who have been there and done it for many, many years. And I'm one of the fresh blood candidates, as it were. He was on this show, in fact, WTF Live, and we had a great talk. And hopefully we'll have another great talk over there for Millennial. So it's great to always be on this show, Will. And congratulations on passing 10,000 subscribers. Hopefully, channel suppression doesn't kick you in the nuts.
No, I'm on 10,104 at the moment.
Excellent.
So we're growing. We're going. Gotta love it. All right. Yes. Thank you, everybody, for watching episode 69.
Nice.
Of WTF Live. And don't forget to
like the stream.
Anyway, we do actually need to have a bit of a chat about the next week or so of the show, because next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. And I'll be probably expected to spend that with my family, but I don't know. We'll see, because it also might be the case that there's like 15 people downstairs and they probably won't miss me for a couple of hours. So the show will end. It's midnight. It's midnight right now, so it will end on Christmas Day for me, my time, if we do the stream on Tuesday. But we'll talk about it. Other than that, I don't see anything else interrupting us as far as our schedule. But of course, if you guys need to go be other places and do other things, I totally get it. I'll be here, even if I have to do it alone. But there we go. I will try to make time for everybody, Noel, so don't worry, which is ironic with you saying that, considering your name. But there you go. Anyway, you're proposing Christmas. Okay. Anyway, thank you again to everybody, and I will get to the last donation that we've received. But first of all, thank you to Dramatica Lost, Slepspian Commando, Marilyn Transon, Chaos Forever, James Up, Chaos Forever, James Up, Pet Brett, Reese Rhoda, and once again for 5 Will of the Fans memberships. You lucky people, thank you very much. Love it. I got to make some new emojis. I think we've got a slot open now. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you want me to do, and that will do for now. That's it, isn't it? Yep, that's it. Boxes ticked. Show may end. All right. Nothing I have to do then but wave stupidly to the camera, watch Smash JT destroy a small tropical island with his cannonball into our cold pool, and see you on Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Holy crap! Holy crap!
Done with pronouns where our legends dwell. Hypnotic communist puppet corporate hell. Corrupt our heroes, specific tales of their agenda, force us to rail. They change our law, forced immorality, and now we're facing me as mortality. They lost the plot, we'll take a stand. These corporations must perish, we'll reclaim our land. Enough is enough, we've drawn the line. We'll take back our stories of spark divine. The